All right. Welcome back to What She Said Sports. I hope everybody's staying warm. It snowed here in Atlanta. Not where I live, apparently. It's just a little speckle of dust. Uh, when I looked out and saw snow earlier today, I was like, it's snowing. But across the city, further north, like the suburbs, a lot of snow. They had a lot of snow and it stuck to the ground. I can still see from where I'm sitting, I can still see the streets. So we just had a spackle of dust, but let's see what the current temperature is. One moment. Let's see if we can get it to come up. What is the current temperature in Atlanta right now? They thinking about it. Let's see. I guess they don't know. It didn't come up.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Uh-oh. Is my phone frozen? Y'all see? What is the current temperature in Atlanta right now? Let's see if they get it. 19 degrees. It didn't even say it. My phone is freezing up, y'all. It is 19 degrees. I don't know if y'all can see it. It is 19 degrees here in Atlanta. And y'all, it's windy. It feels like Chicago at 19 degrees. So it's super windy, 19 degrees. And it's a spackle of white dust on the ground. So maybe tomorrow we'll get more snow. And I have a flight at like super early, dark 30 Tuesday morning. So I'm hoping that everything is cleared up so I can still make my flight. But yeah, Atlanta got snow. So this is the second year in a row. I feel like since I've been here that around this time of year it snows. So maybe global warming, it'll become more of a regular occurrence. Okay, so hey everybody, I see who's in here. I have a great show planned for y'all. I told you I wanted to talk about, or I wanted to, say, it's about time that we let the cat out the bag, right? New offensive coordinator, new head coach, new special teams, the defense coordinator still MIA, and I wanted to talk about rebuilding. Are the Browns rebuilding? So I did a poll, and some people answered it, and we're going to talk about that. Shout out to Shedeur Sanders, who made it safely to San Francisco. They showed him arriving and going into the hotel. So he had his big suitcase with him, so he got some drip with him. And I saw Myles Garrett. Apparently, Myles Garrett plays dodgeball like on a serious level. I don't want to say pro level, but I think it was pro level dodgeball. And he's good and he's intense. So shout out to Myles Garrett for having something else going on, right? Because the disappointments that can come with one sport, you can kind of find satisfaction in the other sports. So shout out to Myles Garrett and shout out to Shedeur Sanders. Jalen Hurts will be at the Pro Bowl. Y'all know Coach Prime is going to be a coach in the celebrity flag football game. That's the same game that Shedeur was a participant in right before the draft in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, but he couldn't play. But Coach Prime is going to be a coach, and I think that that's pretty cool, right, for them to to do that again for the second year, to be involved in those Super Bowl festivities. So also what we're going to be talking about is, remember all of those questions that we kept hearing about when there were candidates applying for the job to be a head coach, and people kept dropping like flies. And we heard it's because they have an essay to complete. They have homework to do. And I'm like, most executives got something to do. You can't just sit down and go, I want to work here. Why you want to work here? Because you make a lot of money and I have a lot of power and influence. You have to kind of show and prove that you can manage people, and they want to see what your long-term vision is, right? So we're going to talk about that today. So we're talking about the questions, what was asked, right? Like one question in particular, as it pertains to our fave, Shedeur Sanders. Apparently, everybody had to tell the Browns in essay form or in interview questionnaire form, what are your plans to develop Shedeur Sanders? Now, on the surface, when you look at this, it's like, oh, okay, I guess they, kind of want to invest in Shedeur, right? And then a lot of people dropped out. And what did I say? I said they're dropping out because nobody wants to be Stefanski 2.0 to try to hinder this kid, right? Just like nobody wants to go to Baltimore and restrict Lamar. Nobody wants to go to Cleveland and restrict Shedeur. I've said that. So now we get a look at the questions and kind of like what people are saying about the situation. And I did my research. So I decided I wanted to kind of see what they were saying. And then I kind of looked at what they were saying and did some research on that tip as well. So we're going to be talking about, is Shedeur Sanders quarterback development a priority, and what was being said about what they're expecting? Who else were they talking about? How serious are the Browns about Shedeur? And it's going to kind of give you a little bit of peek inside why they haven't committed to Shedeur, to no fault of his own, why the Browns haven't committed to Shedeur yet. So we're going to get into that. So welcome, everybody. I see y'all coming in. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I'm going to turn the music on really down low because it's the weekend. I just want to vibe out. I feel like, it'll just be more conversational. And let me see if I can start off with a question for y'all to be thinking about while we're going through this. What are some of the reasons, and name a reason that you feel like they have not committed to Shedeur as QB1? In the comments, drop me a brief one-liner about why you believe the Browns have not committed to Shedeur Sanders as QB1 yet. I'm curious to see what y'all are saying. All right. Okay. Here we go. All right. So I just turned it down real low. I hope you can hear it. All right. So let's go with the poll first. Remember, I dropped this poll probably a day or two ago, or after Monken was hired or whatever. I wanted to know kind of the pulse of people, what they thought if the Browns are rebuilding. And here we go. It says, are the Browns rebuilding in 2026? There's a new head coach, a new OC, new special teams coordinator, possibly a new defensive coordinator, probably a new defensive line coordinator, and a coach. And the QB position is not solidified per Andrew Barrett. Now, we already talked about Andrew Barrett on that smack, talking about they don't have a leader yet, because that's some BS. Shedeur has proved that he's a leader. So the question I'm asking y'all is one-liner, in one line, a few words. Why do you believe the Browns have not committed to Shedeur Sanders as QB1? Yes, I'm happy to see Shedeur Sanders is undeterred by that, right? Because it could be frustrating. You went out here and again, you prove yourself. Again, you know these people, they were going to get you at number 2. And here you are being asked to prove yourself again, right? So we're going to dive a little deeper into, why it is that they keep having this to happen. And I'm curious to get your input, regardless of what we talk about here. I want to know what you're thinking. All right. So shout out to y'all. Who's in here? Hey, Joyce, welcome back. Ramon, welcome back. Val, welcome back. Okay, I see y'all in here, Miss Pamela. Okay, cool. So let me know in the comments. All right. So that's the poll. I think y'all can see. If you can't, I'll read it for people who can't. It said 69 votes. Yes, in 2026, it will be a rebuild for the Browns. 87% of people said yes, a rebuild is happening. And what's the implications of a rebuild? Don't expect much. What can you expect when you're rebuilding? It said no, a rebuild is not required for the Browns. 13%. So let's talk about that real quick. All right. So 87% are saying, yep, with all of that newness, a rebuild is coming. And what did I say? The Browns not trying to win nothing in 2026. And in fact, the way they're hiring and the pushing out of these people and hiring of these people, and what it proves is they're not trying to win nothing, because they're going to say we're rebuilding. We're not expecting much, right? And if that's the case, you're not expecting much because you're rebuilding. Why have all of the people that you're interviewing tell you what they're going to do to develop Shedeur Sanders? It would give you the impression that you're going to, while you're rebuilding, you're going to build around Shedeur Sanders. That's the impression you get, right? All right. So let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a look. Because if you're not rebuilding, and it's kind of a shame that they are rebuilding. Let me tell you why. It's a shame because they were so close to the pin. They already had the number 2 defense. Honestly, I don't know what the hell was going on with the special teams, because it was so much other stuff going on. I couldn't focus on that. And it probably was raggedy intentionally, just like the offensive line was left to be raggedy. The Browns have known for the last 2 to 3 years they needed an O-line. How long has Joe Albertonio been there? How long has Jack Conklin been there? You see my point? So it seems to me that it's been raggedy on purpose. And now that we're going into a rebuild, or they laying a path for 2027 and basically saying don't expect much in 2026. And then I go back to my question. If you don't want them to expect much in 2026, and you're asking all the new coaches to build around Shedeur. Shedeur's not new, right? He was there last year. So does that mean you're going to go into the draft? Does that mean you're going to go into free agency and get some wide receivers, get some top tier premier O linemen? Are you going to do that? Because if they don't, which means I'm telling you to keep your eye on the draft as far as the Browns concerned and what they come away with and who they sign in free agency before the draft, right? So these are things you have to pay attention to, because again, if you're asking every candidate how you're going to develop Shedeur Sanders at the quarterback position, and you haven't committed to Shedeur at the quarterback position, and you're rebuilding, you would think your draft strategy supports the rebuild. Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. So let's take a look here. Now that we know the majority of the people saying we rebuilding, they were so close to the pin, the number 2 defense, a stellar rookie class. If Stefanski had been held accountable and all of the pieces were in place that Breer brought in, they could have got to the playoffs. Remember, they got to the playoffs hunt. So understand this, the Browns made it all the way to the playoff hunt. That was with the sabotage. That was with the Fugazi, right? If they didn't have to deal with the Fugazi, they could have been in the divisionals. They could have been in a wild card. So it's a shame. Now you got to blow it all up after you were so close to the pin. See, that's the sticking point right there for me. Oh, man, you were so close, and now you got to blow it all up. What it does is it allows Haslam's vision to be fulfilled. Don't forget, Haslam is on the record in September saying he don't have a problem rebuilding for 3 more years. The fans do. In fact, one of the fans said in a comment, they rebuild every year. It's always a rebuild in Cleveland because they unserious. So if they so unserious and they're not new to rebuilding and they get close to the pin and they just blow it all up, it sounds like they don't want to win. So why are you asking every coach about Shedeur? Why do we only see the meet and greet with Shedeur? See the visual optical meet and greet and the questions that I have now learned about Shedeur and his development, and tell us how you would develop him. It makes you think on the surface when you just hear the words that Shedeur is the priority for the Browns. And I said it, Shedeur was here last year, but he wasn't a priority for them, right? But for some reason, they want to blow it all up and give you the impression that he's the guy, even though they have not committed to him. So if you're not committed to Shedeur, why didn't I see Dylan's meet and greet? Why didn't I see Deshaun Watson's meet and greet? You see? So it's like giving mixed signals, right? It's like somebody telling you, I love you, but then popping you upside the head every day. That's not love. Oh, Shedeur, we're not committed to you. But every coach that comes in, so how would you develop Shedeur Sanders? What the hell are you asking? Tell me I'm wrong. So let's get into some of this, right? Let's get into some of this. Now, seeing the poll, now that you understand the implications of being so close to the pin and blowing it all up, just to start over and ask people about Shedeur who you're not committed to. It's giving something. It's giving something. All right, so here we go. Let's get into this. You see my screen. I made myself smaller so y'all can see the screen, and I'm going to read what's on the screen, okay? First of all, it says, during the January 2026 Cleveland Brown head coaching search, NFL insider Albert Breer, remember him? Remember I just told y'all the names to look for? Tom Pelissero, Albert Breer, and Adam Schefter. Those are the 3. This is one of the 3. Reported that candidates were specifically asked, how would you develop Shedeur Sanders? Now, when I first read that, I was like, okay, baby, we gonna get somewhere. Remember, I said be neutral. So I'm sitting in neutral and I read candidates were asked, how would you develop Shedeur Sanders? And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I lean up, I sit up, and I say, well, let me see what's happening, right? It's that the question was part of a 6-question written test designed to evaluate how prospective coaches, including newly hired Todd Monken, viewed their role in developing quarterbacks and where they could extract starter caliber play from Shedeur Sanders. That's a loaded response right there. What's loaded about it? This narrative right here asserts that Shedeur is the guy, but it hasn't been proven yet because there isn't a coach that has been able to extract it. Is that true? If you say no, please tell me, no, that's not true. He's already proven it or whatever. Let me know what you're talking about when we get to that section in the comments. One more time. I'm going to just read the whole thing and think about what's being said. During the January 2026 Cleveland Brown head coaching search, NFL insider Albert Breer reported that candidates were specifically asked, how would you develop Shedeur Sanders? This question was part of a 6-question written test designed to evaluate how prospective coaches, including the newly hired Todd Monken, viewed their role in developing quarterbacks and whether they could extract starter caliber play from Sanders in 2026. Now, just looking at that, right? Basically, how would you develop Shedeur Sanders? And how would you extract starter caliber play? Extract starter caliber play? As if it's in there, but I haven't seen it yet. Didn't we see it in the Rams game and he wasn't even developed? And I have got to get somebody on the ground to start asking, what do you mean by development? Because Shedeur came in ready to go. When they say things like that, it's asserting a few things that Shedeur didn't come in NFL ready, pro ready, because we got to extract it. We know it's in there, but we got to go get it. That's a lie. That's just a lie. And I'm going to tell y'all something. After this, my feelings were hurt. I actually had to go do something else. After doing my research, I'm like, they on that bullshit, bro. This kid came in NFL ready. And this is another attempt to prove that he's not. It's another attempt to probably exonerate Kevin Stefanski, absolve Kevin Stefanski. Oh no, Shedeur wasn't pro ready last year. Stefanski was just working on it, but it didn't work out. We lost too many games. So now we got to bring somebody else in and we're going to blow it all up. And we're going to get a coach that can extract star caliber play from a player that we watched make NFL surgical throws that no one else is making. This has been established. This has been discussed. And now I need a coach to get it out of it. Not that I need a coach to treat him with respect. That's number one. Number two, I need a coach that wants to win. But first, and here's what a lot of people are overlooking, does the owner want to win? I think no. See, the owner was there before Stefanski, and it was chaotic before Stefanski. Apparently, it was chaotic when Monken was there before. Monken has never been a head coach. Somebody said to me, he's offensive-minded. I'm like, and? That don't mean he's a good head coach. To be a good head coach, you got to run the whole ship. And you have to be able to work with all of the personalities on the ship and bring harmony, not division, using intimidation and retaliation. So everything is being put on Shedeur. And it gave me the impression that they didn't want to fire Stefanski. And Shedeur got to prove himself this year or get off the pot. I'm going to keep reading. So you tell me what you think when it says they're looking for a head coach that can extract star caliber play from Shedeur. That's why everybody was dropping out, because it's ignorant. I told y'all, nobody wants to come in here and pick up where Stefanski left off, knowing this kid is good and I got to pretend he's not to fulfill the owner's agenda who's hiding his hands behind his back. This is what I meant by it. When Kevin Stefanski was moving on out, he was touching all on Shedeur. Monken comes in, touching all on Shedeur. I have told y'all about that touchy-feely stuff. In all my interactions with people in a professional manner, never. Never. And I was a cheerleader, so don't be like, well, that's corporate. Okay. That's never. That's to make you believe something. Just like Haslam and Coach Prime, that was to make you believe something. It's to make you believe we good. But look at the kind of questions they were asked. So let's just keep going. All right, so it said, view their role. So basically, Monken and the other people had the 6 questions, and they had to explain what their role was going to be and developing these quarterbacks. Now, understand this. I don't know why Shedeur is being isolated when it comes to the meet and greet and when it comes to the quarterback questions, but that is addressed. So we'll talk about that. But let me tell you something else about questions like this written test, okay? That specifically hone in on Shedeur. If you're a very unassuming person and you don't know what the hell was going on and you green behind the ears and you only been focusing on your previous team, let's say like McDaniel, okay? I'm gonna come in and you, when you answer these kind of questions, you normally answer these questions to the best of your abilities and you use them to prove that you know how to do the job, that you're competent. So you're gonna come in and say, well, we're gonna do this, and I'm gonna make sure, you know, Shedeur can use his skill set to pass the ball because he's accurate, and his legs because he's really good with the rushing touchdowns. And we're gonna work with that together, and we're gonna get a new O-line so that we can protect him so he has time to throw the ball. Understand, that's what can eliminate you. That's exactly the truth, can eliminate you. Doing a good job can eliminate you. When I ask you 6 questions, I want to see what side you're on. Now, understand the history of Monken just leaving Baltimore. Understand that. Monken did the same thing Stefanski did. Used the script to try to keep Lamar in the pocket and failed him every goddamn postseason so he don't progress. And yeah, he won an MVP. We're going to look at that. We're going to look at Lamar's development under Monken so you can see what's coming. Because Monken clearly supposedly answered the questions, right? What about Schwartz? What do you think Schwartz's answers were? He's a defensive coordinator. What do you think he said when he was asked about how he should develop Shedeur? I would love to see his answers because I watched Schwartz hold back the defense when Shedeur was the quarterback, which meant he was going along with Stefanski. And that's a no-brainer because Stefanski hired Schwartz. And on the surface, it looks like the Browns want to get away from Schwartz. But while you over here moving away from Schwartz, what you don't realize is you moving right in to Stefanski 2.0 without the abuse. At any given time, I can flip the switch after I have developed you all season to keep a dual threat quarterback in the goddamn pocket so he can get sacked, so number 77 can crush his ankle so he don't have time to throw the ball, and then I shut down the run game and we lose. That's what those questions are designed to prove. Those questions are to prove what side you're on. If you're going to come in here all gung-ho, that's why they're asking about Shedeur. If you're going to come in here all gung-ho, ready to help Shedeur get to the MVP, we ain't hiring you. Just like people didn't want to move further in the process when they understood that these questions, and I know that got out fast. I know as soon as the first person had to deal with it, everybody else knew about it because they all tight. They all know each other. And one told the other, right? Those questions were to see if you was going to take this job and come in here and help Shedeur be all that he could be. I wonder if Monken even had to answer the questions. I know I heard somewhere Monken says he likes athletic quarterbacks, but I read and I also saw with my eyes, he tried to keep Lamar in the pocket. Understand, Monken is a cleaner Stefanski. What do I mean by that? He's not going to abuse Shedeur. What did you notice right off the rip? Chemistry. That's not chemistry. You saw posturing. You saw somebody convincing everybody who was watching, I'm not going to abuse Shedeur. Now convince me you're going to develop him to be the best he can be. Convince us of that. Convince us of that, because that's what you need to convince me of. Everything else is posturing. I told you until that whistle blow, it's all just talk. And it's a lot of posturing happening right now. So let's keep going, right? So that's from Albert Breer telling us what the questions were. And let's look at it. It said key development insights from Breer's reporting. It said Breer's reporting highlights several areas identified. Now listen to this. Several areas identified for Sanders' professional growth following a turbulent rookie season where he fell to the 5th round of the 2025 draft. Okay. I read that and I kept it pushing because I'm like, okay, let's just keep it pushing, right? It said improving internal timing. It said pre-draft evaluations noted Sanders struggled to play on time, often holding the ball too long and taking unnecessary sacks, a habit that needed correction for the NFL game. I want y'all to know this very paragraph right here was used to make sure the O-line failed Shedeur Sanders. They knew that he was sacked a lot. They knew he was blamed for it. They never talked about the sabotage in Cleveland like the fans did. They never talked about it in Colorado like we know it was there. And what did Stefanski do? Make sure it happened. Make sure he didn't have time to throw the ball. Make sure he had to scramble. Make sure he had to get out the pocket. So they used what they deemed a weakness and wasn't judging it fairly against him when Stefanski was there. Let's keep going. It says operating in schedule. This is a big one. This is a big one. It said coaches were tasked with helping Sanders transition from off-schedule college play to a more structured NFL system. First and foremost, I'm just going to go ahead on and say this again. These players are so damn elite by the time they get to the NFL because of it, maybe with the exception of Shedeur, because, you know, his dad was his coach. But, like, look at Colin Kaepernick's situation. If you watch the movie, you saw that Colin Kaepernick was being excluded because he was the quarterback. They made it difficult for him to include him because they didn't want him to be a quarterback. Now, understand this. This is the pros. And you're supposed to want talent. Was the 2025 draft about talent at quarterback? No, it wasn't. It just was not. Remember when Shedeur first started playing and he ran to the right and he threw the ball to Dylan Sampson, who ran down the field and maybe scored or something like that. Anybody remember that? That's the off-schedule play. That's what they worked to stop for the rest of the season. In fact, Tommy Rees, who's gone, Tommy Rees said they wanted to move away from that. See, what the Browns did last year was move away from anything that worked and moved anybody out the way that was helpful. Whether it was Wyatt Teller, whether it was Njoku, Harold Fanny Jr., or at one point Dylan Sampson or Quinshawn Junkins. But who did they love? Jerry Jeudy. And what did he do? Fail the quarterback multiple times. So they worked to make sure Shedeur could make off-schedule plays. I want you to know, and I'm going to show you, I did the research. Off-schedule plays make some happen are very common in NFL. In fact, you're considered to be elite if you can still make something happen rather than let the play die. Now, why is it that Cleveland last year wanted to make sure that Shedeur could make off-schedule plays? Because they didn't want him to be all he could be. And instead of talking about that, Shedeur got to prove himself again. And I think might be slightly retaliated against because they had to fire Stefanski because of the pressure. Yeah, pay attention to that too. So let's keep going. Let me know what y'all think about operating the schedule. Again, we're going to look at it where it pertains to the NFL overall. It said composure and accuracy. Despite early struggles, organization members observed promise in his elite accuracy and composure during pressurized situations. Now, mind you, this is good. This is really, really good, right? And we heard Andrew Barrett talk about how accurate he is. That's why he rarely had time to throw the ball. That's why he created off-schedule situations. And that's why the Browns tried to shut it down. Stefanski tried to shut it down because Shedeur is a playmaker. And playmakers can go off schedule and still be good, especially one that's highly accurate. So this statement right here proves that they know he's accurate. And what you watched them do last year is make sure he didn't have time to be. So where will Monken be in this off-schedule situation? Where will Monken be? Honestly, where will he be in the off-schedule? Do he want him just to be in the pocket? Let's see what happens. It says starter potential. Now, mind you, they was going to draft this kid at number 2. Understand that. You would start at number 2 overall. And they knew this kid won the Johnny Unitas Award. They're talking about this kid like he never won nothing and didn't sit no records. Starter potential? Really? Potential? It says, while the Browns are still gathering information, Breer noted that demonstrating a plan to turn Sanders into a viable starter was a significant plus for candidates during the hiring process. So I want you to remember this part right here. I want you to remember this. First of all, turning him into a starter allows them not to commit to him and have him to compete again. That's first and foremost. You have a new coach. Let me see what you could do. You haven't watched film. You don't know who he is. When you start anything new, they always do an assessment to see where you are. And rather than starting at the beginning, let me see what you can do. And we're going to start at where you are. We're going to meet you at where you are. Oh, you're highly accurate. Oh, you can use your legs. You're not worried about pressure. You can get out of the pocket. You can make off-schedule throws. That's what it should be. But you should already know that because that's what film is for. For them to come in and say, we're looking for a head coach to turn him into a viable starter is a stall tactic to prevent committing to him. Committing to him is QB1. Why? Free agency and the draft. I believe that's why Andrew Berry still has a job because they finna do something asinine. They finna sign somebody or they finna draft somebody. And people gonna be like, but I thought Shedeur was a starter. So rather than making sure that don't happen, so we don't know yet. We don't know. We don't know. You know how it is when people keep styling you. Hey, you got my money? Let me call you back. Hey, you got my money? Hey, let me call you back. When you gotta keep proving yourself, they don't want you to be the person and they stalling till somebody else show up. The draft and free agency. This kid is already a starter. But what it also proves is they got to watch the way they talk and they got to watch the way they treat this kid. They can't come out here with this stupidity that Kevin Stefanski came with, ignoring Shedeur and only talking about Dylan. And whoever the hell it is they sign and whoever the hell it is they draft, they better make goddamn sure he better than Shedeur. Because if there's any goddamn competition and he win it again, and he likely will, because there is nobody in this class better than him. So they're going to have to go get somebody who's been in the league about 10 years. He's still going to outplay him, and it better matter. It better matter. See, they think they can calculate down to the text. If we style, we don't have to commit. That means we can go in the draft and sign somebody. That means we can go in the free agency and sign somebody. Cool, do it. Because Shedeur ain't afraid of no competition. And since you made him compete 3 times and win and ignored it last year, let me see you do it this year. Because this language right here suggests that you know you got to watch the way you walk and talk because 20 million people are watching. And that's why Shedeur should not be deterred by a bull crap. Because guess what? He know he got people backing him that's going to hold them accountable. And that's why I say all of these players that want to come to this league in college that's getting $4 or $5 million or $2 million, you better come in here with some damn fans because that money ain't going to help you. That money might get you cheated, actually, because they seem to have a problem with these players or certain players coming in wealthy. So you better come in with a fan base. So the starter potential thing is bullshit, right? The kid is a starter, right? And Monken should be watching film on Shedeur, and I'm not going back down to clean up on aisle 4. Monken should be watching Shedeur, but we're going to look at how Monken developed Lamar so you can see what you're looking for. From Monken, you should have expectations for Monken to develop Shedeur, and it should be based off what you know about Shedeur's skill set and what you think should be done to help him win, not the bullshit vision that Haslam has. And I agree with whoever it was that said Haslam need to be forced to sell this team, or the NFL needs to take over this team from him because he's driving it into the ground again with another rebuild because he's comfortable rebuilding for 3 years. All right. So that's Shedeur stats. I'm not worried about his stats because there's no stat to track the sabotage. So ain't no point in that. All right. So let's move on to more detail about Monken and what it is that he kind of had to. Let's go in on Monken a little bit in terms of the interview process. So we just talked about the overall process. We just talked about what it is they said Shedeur needed to improve upon what it is they wanted to see from the coaches as it pertains to Shedeur. Let's just get into just a little bit more detail here. It said Monken had to explain how he would develop Sanders. Okay, so let me know. I'm gonna make myself smaller so y'all can see. Welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. 158 of us hit the like button. I'm making myself smaller so y'all can see. I'm down here way at the bottom. Okay, let me get back to that. Okay, it said according to Sports Illustrated insider Albert Breer, again, Monken and the other Browns candidates had to answer a 6-question written test as part of their interview. One of the 6-question Breer sources said was, how would you develop Shedeur Sanders? Similarly, Sanders, Gabriel, and the injured Deshaun Watson were mentioned in the oral interview. Now, understand that. They were mentioned in the oral interview. One of the 6 questions specifically said, how would you develop Shedeur Sanders? Are we to assume that of the 6 questions, one was about Shedeur development, one was about Dylan, and one was about Deshaun? I have not seen anything like that. I also didn't see a film meet and greet with them, but it says that Sanders, Gabriel, and Deshaun were mentioned in the oral interview. So we just gonna assume that they asked about all 3. It said, however, Breer clarified that the written test also alluded to 2 other players. So maybe they are the 2 other players. So Monken and the other candidates didn't feel pressure to start Sanders. So let me get this right. I have only seen one video, and maybe are there 2 more videos out there with a meet and greet with Deshaun? Well, Deshaun is in Italy. I just saw him myself. So no, and Dylan was in Cleveland and Oregon or somewhere else. So was the only meet and greet with Shedeur? Because the other 2 didn't come back? That's interesting. What y'all think about that? And it says, Breer clarified that the written test also alluded to 2 other players. So Monken and the other candidates didn't feel pressured to start Sanders. So they asking you, but they don't want you to feel pressured about starting him. They just kind of want to see what you would do. It said, still the insider noted, candidates did get the idea that being able to get starter level play out of Sanders was seen as a plus. Let me go back and tell you one more time. Marie, I hate this. I see what they're doing. I hope y'all see the play here. What did I tell you about Albert Breer? That the people you never see tell him things. And his job is come tell us and to push the narrative. And Cleveland gonna pick up on it. And he already told them because he's been on their shows previously. And that's the narrative they're gonna be pushing. Well, yeah, they're gonna try not to use the words, he's not a starter. They're going to frame it just like this. Well, yeah, they want to get starter level play out of him. You know, they're not 100% yet because they want to try to get starter level play out of him. And I'm gonna call bullshit because you saw starter level play in the 2 games that I did side by side comparison in the preseason and in the regular season. And let's not talk about the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Now you know why it was imperative that they expected the kicker to pick up the ball and throw it to the cameraman. Because if Shedeur tied that game up with Josh Allen or won that game, how can I come back here and talk about starter level play? Let's extract starter level play. You don't have to extract what we've already seen. You ain't got to extract it. What you think? It's put away for the winter? It's giving the impression that you haven't seen it yet, but you know it's in there. Like the word promise was used. They no goddamn promise. It's a guarantee. Every time I watched Shedeur play in college, I can tell when they was going to score. He just had to get down there. And somebody just had to catch the goddamn ball from wherever it was, 50, 60, 40 yards. It didn't matter. So what you're seeing is a narrative that absolves the Browns from drafting Shedeur at number 2 overall because someone has to extract starter level play, and he has promised. Remember, they said his skill set was retro style, as if it's undesirable because it's retro. Like the game I play on PS5 is considered retro gaming, as if it's just outdated and nobody wants to play it. I love Gallagher. But that's how people feel about it. And that's how they try to justify not drafting Shedeur. But he came in and proved that right away with no help from them. He was excluded from being developed. And every time when he got to play against the Ravens, he didn't know he was playing. And if somebody else knew, maybe they told him, but he didn't know, they didn't tell him. And come to find out, that wasn't specific to Shedeur. Stefanski did that to a lot of those quarterbacks. They had no idea they was going to take their first start because he didn't want them to know, because he didn't want them to succeed. So just like keeping them off, trying to catch them off guard for the most part. And I think Manziel, even though I don't think Stefanski was there when Manziel was there, Manziel talked about just being on the bench and how he felt all of the losing. It was just getting to him. So he had to leave Cleveland all the time, but he also had to go sit in his car, right? So they've had examples of people to come in at quarterbacks who they know what a leader looks like. They know what a starter looks like. But when it comes to Shedeur, instead of just picking up where they left off, they just blew it all up. Got rid of the special teams coordinator, got rid of the OC, got a new head coach, clearly upsetting the defensive coordinator, who we have not heard is coming back yet, and likely get a new defensive line coach, which is why Myles Garrett posted that photo of that lady look exasperated, because they do this all the time. And that's what they, when they don't want to win. And I keep cautioning people from talking about what Monken gonna do. Monken gonna do what the owner wants him to do, like Stefanski did, minus the abuse. Because you have to be out of your rabbit mind to think that's gonna go over well. And the fact that he came in all touchy-feely tells you he knows he can't do it like that. But he did succeed at holding Lamar back in the preseason. And it had to be a slap in the face to Lamar to undergo all of this development to make the game better and to get an MVP. But when it's time to get to the Super Bowl, you shut it down. That's why they wanted to run Monken out of town. Any Ravens fans in the house, let me know. All right, so let's move on to these off-schedule plays. So let's talk about, we're back to talk about, we're moving on to the next step, right? So we talked about overall, then we got specifically about Monken. It closed with saying that the candidates got an impression that Shedeur should be the starter. And there are going to be people that see that and they happy and they screaming, but they not reading all of it, right? You're not paying attention to the language that talks about him potentially being a starter. You're overlooking the fact that this kid is a starter and they don't want him to be. So if I don't want him to be the starter, and I didn't want him to be the starter last year, and I'm talking about he ain't a starter this year, I'm stalling. So why would it give candidates the impression that Shedeur is supposed to be the guy? Let's keep talking. All right, so I'm going to make myself smaller so y'all can see this. All right. Okay, so we're talking about off-schedule plays. Now, why off-schedule plays huge? Because this is where Shedeur's development is going to come in at. And so will Michael Penix Jr., because it already happened to Lamar. Okay, so this is script, ladies and gentlemen. This, what you saw with Shedeur and what they wanted him to do, which involved off-schedule plays, is a script. This is how you take elite quarterbacks and you contain them. This is how you contain them, right? So listen, off-schedule plays in American football refer to improvisational actions that occur when a design play breaks down, such as dirt divers on the O-line, usually due to pressure. Dirt divers on the O-line, KT Levingston, 68, Cam Robinson, plus the dirt divers, right? Or the center mis-snapping the ball, or Jerry Jeudy skipping a Malu on his route. Those types of things cause for adjustments, right? It's that usually due to pressure or broken assignments. Jerry skipping a Malu is a broken assignment. You know, with the dirt divers and KT Levingston failing on purpose, or is what creates pressure. It's that these plays featuring quarterbacks escaping the pocket require players to make something out of nothing. It's that outside the original structure of the play call. So right before the end of the season, Tommy Reese said, no, not even when Shedeur started playing. And I think it was after his first or second game. And when Dylan Sampson had scored and Shedeur ran out the pocket because the play broke down. So Shedeur made an off-schedule play. They didn't like that. They said winning isn't important. It's not about winning and losing. Yes, the hell it is. And he got a promotion. It's not about winning and losing. It's about his development. In other words, Shedeur don't need to be worried about winning or losing. He need to do what we tell him to do. And we don't want him making off-schedule plays. You're going to hear that. Just keep listening because you heard it last year. It said key aspects of off-schedule plays. Improvisation. When a quarterback is forced to escape the pocket, they often look for receivers who have adjusted their routes in response to the pressure. One of the reasons Shedeur held on to the ball in Cleveland is because people couldn't get open. Oh, excuse me, they wouldn't get open. It's a could and a would. They could have, and Jerry Jeudy showed you that. Jerry Jeudy really hid behind a defender. They couldn't get open. There was one play with Isaiah Bond. He was running and he didn't even turn around and see what the ball was. I'm like, okay. And in that Baltimore game, damn near everybody caught flack for dropping catchable passes. It said broken plays. These occur when the design play is ruined by defensive pressure or dirt divers or Cam Robinson or KT Levison or miscommunication, forcing the offense to rely on raw talent rather than scheming. Remember in the Ravens game, there were 3 people lined up on the right on the O-line, and they turned to the right at a diagonal to face the stands, and she was telling them where the pressure blitz was coming from for the left, and they ignored the hell out of him. Jack Conklin, Wyatt Teller, and whoever else was on the right, far right. No, it was the center, Ethan Posick, Wyatt Teller, and Jack Conklin. Those 3 lined up to face diagonal to the stands. After that game, Wyatt Teller said, I think I maybe only heard him call signals like 3 times. Because he didn't know them. He didn't know them at all. But I don't give a damn how much you don't know him. At what point is the quarterback pointing to the left and the 3 of y'all coordinate to turn facing the stands? That's the kind of shit Shedeur had to deal with. His stats don't tell you nothing about that. He put up good numbers and played against good teams in the dead of winter despite his teammates on offense. So that's probably why, well, after I read all of this, my heart sank because I'm like, oh, Lord. You know what I'm saying? So improvisation, because you got to make something happen to escape the pocket because you're looking for a receiver who's adjusted the routes. In Cleveland, they refused to get open sometimes. That's just what it is. It's that these occur when a design play is ruined by defensive pressure. That's exactly the broken plays that you've seen it before. But understand this, there was a lot of broken plays, right? And sometimes Shedeur got away, and sometimes he didn't. And it got to a point where number 68 would let the guys tee off on Shedeur in the back, and he didn't get roughing the passer, which is why you heard him telling the referee when he was wired up, mic'd up, they be hitting him in his neck because they're trying to get him hurt. How does the team know to do that? Honestly, how the other team knew they wasn't going to get in trouble? Because it had happened before and wasn't nobody calling roughing the passer. You heard Shedeur talking about it. Quarterback performance, while often praised as off-script brilliance or creative, right? It said coaches also emphasize the need for quarterbacks to consistently make on-schedule plays or simple design passes in addition to improvising. So understand this. This is how you contain a quarterback. By saying things like winning or losing doesn't matter. I don't want you to improvise. I want you just to make check downs. Simple design plays. Simple. I don't want you to be elite. I want you to be check down Charlie. This is exactly what this is. This is how you turn a quarterback into a game manager. While often praised for off-script brilliance, if you know you have an O-line that is negligent, why would you try to keep your quarterback in the pocket so he can get hurt? That's what happened to Lamar under Monken, and that's what happened to Shedeur under Stefanski. They the same people, down to the bone, minus the abuse. And understand this. I said nobody was going to want to come over here and abuse this kid. Nobody. Not even Monken. And Monken was successful at containing Lamar without the abuse. So the abuse wasn't even necessary. But the owner allowed it, right? And so did the league and NFL Players Association. I mean, everybody knows Shedeur Sanders has a case, right? So let's see what happened this year, because you shouldn't see no abuse, but you will see them trying to contain him. Now, mind you, they said his skill set was retro style pocket passer. So when you see him out here being elite and can make something happen with creativity and off-script brilliance, why you mad? Why you mad? Is it ego? Or is it you don't want to win? Or you don't want this quarterback to win? These are the things you got to look for. Examples: a classic off-schedule play is the quarterback scrambling right and throwing on the run to a receiver who has broken off their original route to find open space. It said these plays are essential for quarterbacks who can turn potential losses or sacks into big gains. So if you don't want me to do off-schedule plays, that means you just want me to let the play die or just get sacked. And there are times it makes sense for a quarterback to get sacked. People don't talk about that either. And we're going to get into that, what makes sense as the season goes on. So this is the script, ladies and gentlemen. This is the script. And the first things they do to shut down a Lamar Jackson or Shedeur Sanders, who's mobile, is I don't want you making off-schedule plays. I don't want you improvising. I don't want you being creative. I don't want you making something happen out of nothing. Just let the play die. Just make a simple check down. That's what you're looking for in terms of when they describe Monken developing Shedeur. Shedeur don't need to be developed. He and a coach that wants to win, and an owner that wants to win. And I don't think he has an owner that wants to win. He has an owner with an agenda. And he hires people to execute that agenda. Last year, Shedeur encountered Stefanski because Stefanski was hired to execute an agenda before Shedeur got there. The agenda was on Deshaun Watson, as well as Jameis Winston and every other black quarterback that came through there. Shedeur is still black, and the owner is still the owner. So pay attention. All right, so that's where we are. We know Shedeur is like that. They know Shedeur is like that. The narrative is they want to impress upon us that they haven't seen it yet. So we're not committed to him because we haven't seen it. But we're going to develop him. And we got all these questions out here, and we want to give the impression of these coaches that they have to develop Shedeur. And what exactly is that supposed to look like? Oh, we want to limit your mobility. We don't want you to be creative and lob it down the field. We know you highly accurate. We just want to have you to throw the little quick passes like, we got Dylan to do. We want you to be Dylan. They want Shedeur to be Dylan. That's just what it is. I don't want you to run to the right and escape free and throw the ball to Dylan Sampson and him get a touchdown. That's not what I want. I want you to just throw the ball about 6 yards on average. That's all I want you to do. Because they don't want to win. So when you're thinking about what this season is going to be like, what you need to ask and what reporters need to ask, what the hell is the agenda for the owner? Does he want to win this year? That's the question to ask. Shedeur is a winner. But do the Browns want to win with Shedeur? And I'm going to ask that question a lot because I asked the question when it came to Lamar and the Ravens, and we finally got our answer. No. And he finally got it too. Like I told my guys, we practice this over and over and over. Let's be legendary. And here's Monken. So let's move on to the next one. Let me make sure y'all still with me. Let's move on to the next one. I'm down at the bottom. Hit the like button, please. 171 of us, hit the like button, please. All right, so now we're going into, I think we're going into, I want to do this part too. This is about off-script plays, but that was specifically telling you what it was. But this right here tells you who it affects. I think this is very, very, very important. So I'm going to share this before we get to Monken. Okay. So it tells you, this is an AI overview. So it tells you, let me make sure y'all can see me. All right. Yes. All right. Make sure. Okay. That's it. All right. Got to get back to it. All right. The script. Pay attention. This is part of the script. Off schedule or off script plays. You see? You see? This is a script. I'm telling y'all. And now, I don't know if y'all noticed, but on social media, former NFL players, black and white, are coming out talking about it's scripted. And they're using the word right here, off schedule or off script. So let's use the term off script and it'll kind of make more sense. So there's a script, right? And I want Shedeur to follow the script. The script is Dylan Gabriel. The script is for Dylan Gabriel. 10 yards on average. Check down key. So when Shedeur runs out the pocket off script and throws the ball to Dylan Sampson and he scores, they're pissed because he didn't follow the script. He didn't stick to the script. Why? Does it have anything to do with I don't want to win with Shedeur, or I need the spread to be met or not met by Vegas? There is a script, ladies and gentlemen. The question is, what's the script about? What's the goal of the script? Is it to meet the spread for betting? And that's what people think, but I hate to tell them. There's also a script for their racial politics. I don't want you to win, Shedeur. I don't want to win with Lamar. So stick to the script. I don't want to win with Shedeur. Stick to the script. So understand this. It's a multi-purpose script. But you have been informed. There is a script. DeMar Smith said the first 15 plays of the game are scripted. When Coach Prime came to Shedeur game, where he met Haslam said, let's just say Shedeur has a good game. Let's just say Shedeur has a good game. The first 15 plays are scripted. In that particular game, it was raggedy in the beginning. And like I said, it's like a switch flipped. And Shedeur was able to have a good game and go off script. It's scripted. And when Shedeur and Lamar use their talent, because the script is to contain them. It might be to meet the spread as well, but it's also to contain them, because that's always been the goal for black quarterbacks. That's what the script was for first. The betting hides the racism. There's a script. And when Shedeur goes off script, they don't like it because he can win. And I don't want to win with you. And you know this because he got them to the playoffs. Just for the hunt. And they never talked about it. As much as raggedy and as much as they run their damn mouth in Cleveland, they never talked about Shedeur Sanders got it to the playoff hunt. Who can we play if we win? Yay. They didn't even give the fans nothing to celebrate. They don't even give a shit about the fans. But they want the fans to call in, the fans to watch their podcast, the fans to pay money to come to the games. But they don't give a damn. If they sell the fans a lot. And this is where the fans need to stick to their guns. As I've heard people saying, I'm not giving them a damn dime until they show they have a viable product. But they too busy using the team, especially the quarterback, to control black leadership. That's just it. They too busy playing with people's lives and livelihoods, and they unserious about black quarterbacks. They are not serious at all. And this script that we're talking about, this script is about to be used in Atlanta. This, because I think it already was. This script is about to be used in Tennessee. Pay attention to Cam. Why do I say that? When the Browns played Cam, I noticed how they let the running back do most of the work. Pay attention to Cam, because he's one that will escape the pocket and have a side throw on the run. And it's fun to watch. The fans love it, and he typically connects. Pay attention to that. They taking these Black athletes and containing their athleticism with a script. The betting hides the racism. I'm able to do more freely what I want to do. And to some respect, people kind of cool with a script that benefits betting because people making money. Look at all the games that Kevin Stefanski lost with Dylan and wasn't trying to win and didn't want to move off of Dylan and didn't want to win. Bettors were saying, I love it. So there's some strategy out there that is tailored to meeting Vegas's odds or not exceeding them or however you want to say it. And the bettors are cool with it because it makes them money. The NFL is cool with it because they get paid. And it seems like they get to hide their racism. Because understand, trying to contain a Lamar in the pocket behind an O-line that's negligent. Just like Stefanski tried to contain Shedeur. Tommy Reese tried to contain Shedeur in the pocket because so he don't make no off-script plays. It's trying to squelch their DNA so that the Tyler Shaws and the Mendozas can appear to be like that. Because apparently they can't keep up. Josh Allen can, but they're trying to keep him in the pocket too. They have fought dual threat quarterbacks. It's not new. They have fought black quarterbacks. It's not new. Put them together. They fighting black quarterbacks' athleticism. That's why Shedeur was pushed down in the draft in favor of who? Tyler Shaw and Jackson Dart. They like his athleticism. They like his swag, but not Shedeur. Why? Because it's also a numbers game. So I'm trying to squelch your numbers because there's too many black quarterbacks that are starting because y'all elite. And the only way for me to move that is to create scripts for games that squelch or contain your athleticism. That's why I said what we're seeing now, trying to reverse the numbers of black quarterbacks being starters and pushing them down like they suggest Shedeur be happy with being getting the security of a backup. They want Shedeur to be secure as a backup rather than elevate the game with 400 to 500 yards per game. See, evolution is inevitable, but in the NFL, they're trying to control it. The evolution of the game is what's eroding the integrity of the game. And I hate it because I love the game, but they're killing it. And they squelching it and they containing it and they dumbing it down with the Mendozas and the Tyler Shaws, the check down kings. I'm sure they can find a black check down king, but then it's a numbers game too. That's why they're not black. So understand that's what's happening. That's the script. To suffer and smother the athleticism. It says off-script plays have become increasingly common in the modern NFL. See, they're trying to take it back. It said driven by a rise in mobile dual threat quarterbacks. Think about Donovan McNabb. Think about Michael Vick. Think about Shedeur. Think about Jalen Milroe. Think about Lamar Hill. Think about a lot of people, right? Driven by a rise in mobile dual threat quarterbacks who frequently scramble or extend passing plays. Pat Mahomes, Shedeur Sanders, right? While traditional pocket passing remains, and that's supposedly Shedeur Sanders. So like I said, Andrew Berry lied when he said Shedeur was a retro style of pocket passer. That's a lie. And they're doing everything they can to contain him because they lied. It said top QBs now regularly create their own opportunities outside the initial play design or the script. So why? Why are they wanting to? Why was Stefanski wanting to squelch that? And how is Monken going to come in? And what is he going to do? We're going to take a look at what Monken did with Lamar. And maybe we'll see some improvement until we get to the postseason, like he did in Baltimore. But he wasn't the head coach. So let's just see what happens. It said rise of the dual threat. It said the NFL has a shift toward quarterbacks who regularly run, with instances of quarterbacks throwing 150 plus times and rushing 100 plus times becoming more common compared to the pre-1990s era. Pre-1990s era, there were a lot of white quarterbacks, right? So this is where they're trying to get back to. Understand that. Modern play style. It said coaches now build flexibility into their systems to allow quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers or Pat Mahomes to turn broken plays into big gains. Now, Shedeur Sanders is already in company with Aaron Rodgers. He was already compared to Pat Mahomes. In fact, he is a Pat Mahomes or a Joe Burrow, a player that extends plays. But they said he wasn't that he just stands there in the pocket and throw the ball, and that's a lie. And that's the lie they use to devalue him in the draft, and it's going to catch up to him. Everything they try to do is to outrun the lie they told in the draft. Oh, well, we still have Deshaun Watson, so we can't get a quarterback. So you're not drafting a quarterback in this draft, are you? You're not drafting a quarterback in this draft because you can't get one, right? Definitely not in the first round. Trying to outrun a lie. Well, Shedeur is a pure pocket passer, and that's kind of retro style. You know, that's why Mel Kiper Jr. said, oh, you want the running around guy. I see Shedeur run around a lot. He's not just no pocket passer. And I've heard Shannon Sharp say that, and I'm like, that's incorrect. Shedeur is not a pure pocket passer. What we saw from Flacco is a pure pocket passer. Somebody just standing there, letting all kind of things happen, and you just stand there and throw the ball. I don't think that has ever been Shedeur. But they trying to outrun that lie. Because maybe somebody might want to sue one day because they actually lied. And they're trying to outrun the lie that he wasn't worth being a first-round pick because he wasn't elite. That's also a lie. So all the Browns are doing when they bring in another head coach is still trying to outrun the lie that they told in the 2025 draft when they baited and switched against their franchise quarterback. Tried to cover up why they don't want him to be their franchise quarterback. Trying to cover up why they refuse to commit to him. They are outrunning their lies. Because when you tell one lie, you have to tell another one. And understand this, since they used Deshaun to lie and not get Shedeur, you said you took a big swing and miss with Deshaun. How you going to put him out here in 2026 and he go ball out? You're not. Because you will be exposed. Well, y'all said that Deshaun was trash. He good. That's going to cause problems. So now I got to suppress Shedeur. I got to suppress Lamar. So I got to get a head coach that not just focusing on Shedeur. I got to focus on Deshaun because I lied on him. And then to suppress both of them, do I keep Dylan? Do I trade him? They probably going to trade Dylan and bring in somebody else. And that's going to start some more shit. Because if Shedeur, and likely Shedeur is better than that person, they're going to be trying to hold Shedeur back behind somebody else. You're going to do the same thing again with a different coach? Or you're going to do like you did Lamar and make sure he was unavailable a lot. Pay attention. All right, so the modern play style, the rise of the dual threat. Shedeur is already in company with the likes of Aaron Rodgers, already in company with Pat Mahomes extending the plays. I've said it multiple times on X. Y'all love when Pat Mahomes extend the plays. I don't hear you complaining. It's just the Brown of the quarterback. It's a problem when they extend plays or when they're a dual threat and they're elite. And people just need to call it what it is. That's just what it is. It's their key indicators. Off-script plays often occur on passing downs where the initial read is covered, leading to a scramble or a pass thrown while moving outside the pocket. It's that frequency. While a specific percentage for all off-script plays is hard to quantify, they are a fundamental part of the modern game, especially with the influx of young athletic quarterbacks. Athletic quarterbacks. I know I heard somewhere that Ty Monken likes to work with athletic quarterbacks. What the hell is Lamar Jackson? You see? So you coming to Cleveland saying you like to work with athletic quarterbacks. So y'all insist that Shedeur is not athletic. And what did you do to Lamar? Stay tuned. So it says off-schedule plays are no longer considered a last resort, but a deliberate, high-value component of elite offensive strategies. So now you know Kevin Stefanski was not offensive minded. He did not have an elite offensive strategy. He wanted to go where there were no improvisation. There's no off-script plays. Just throw the ball 10 yards. Don't run out the pocket. Now you know Kevin Stefanski does not have an elite offensive strategy, and he's going to take that crap over there to Atlanta. I already saw a petition floating around for Atlanta fans want to get Stefanski fired. So let's see how serious they are as we get closer and closer, because we still got a long offseason to go. All right, so now you know that off-script plays are part of a script. Shedeur is skilled at it. Shedeur is a Aaron Rodgers and a Pat Mahomes. Extended plays. Shedeur's already numbers are similar to, I think it was Aaron Rodgers with having 350-plus yard completions in one game. That type of thing. He's already with the elites, going toe-to-toe with Josh Allen. So their words and their actions desire to prove he's not elite, but his play has repeatedly proven that he is. So the fight this year, the fight comes against their words with his actions. And what that means is that there has to be an opportunity for Shedeur to play. So if he's unavailable for whatever reason, don't be surprised if that's what happens. That's the next step, to make him unavailable. I saw him do it to Cam. So the Jaguars could win. Don't forget, it's a script. And I have heard it said that before 2025, when these players come into the NFL, they didn't know it was like this. They have to adapt. Because on the outside, you thought it was competition. Now you've been informed. It's a script. All right, so the next one I have, I think, is Monken about Shedeur. Let's see if I still have that one. If not, I can share that one another time. Let me see if I still have that one. Let's take it. All right, let's see. So that was actually good. That was good. That was informative. It was educational. We all learned something. I know I did. I felt like a little defeated because I'm like, man, you know, this kid, I just want to see this kid play ball. He just want to play ball. But at the same time, they got all this crap going on. Okay, I don't have it. We'll just get back to that one on another day. So I'll just do a separate podcast on Monken previously. How about that? So I saw something after I went to play my game. Just to kind of distract myself from what I read about the reality of what it really is. It's a script. It's used, yes, betting. People use it to bet. At the same time, it's used to further their racial politics. This kid, they gonna try to stop him again. Yeah, they asking people questions, but they refuse to commit to him. So it kind of tells you that while they were choosing coaches, they were choosing coaches who they feel like could get the job done. The job being whatever their agenda is for Shedeur. And Monken has already proven that. See, Schwartz has not. On the defensive side, yes, but running the whole team, no. And Schwartz hadn't run the whole team either. But what I keep telling y'all that's different about Schwartz, that's different about Monken from Schwartz is the Manning kid. And I still find it very interesting why everybody was running around spreading false lies about Shedeur and Monken at Georgia, which is completely false. Nobody talked about who Monken actually recruited, because that's a domino. That's just one of the other dominoes that are out there. And I'm just curious to see if, like last season, the ESPN Cleveland station, they was tracking the Manning kid. I want to see if they're going to do it this year. They only stopped because he wasn't doing well. Let's see if they start the season off tracking him no matter what, because he is supposed to come out. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be 2027. So let's see what happens, because that's exactly how I knew they knew what was going on. I mean, I could see it because I'm paying attention. But when they started tracking the kid, that's what confirmed it. And then when I started looking at all the associations, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what they gonna do. And then when I saw Isaiah Bond with the Texas, I said, okay. See, what people fail to understand is every chance they can to take a shot at Shedeur this past season in Cleveland is what they did, including bringing in Bond, knowing who his quarterback is, and they thought it was next year, including bringing in Dylan. So now that you know Dylan blocks Shedeur in college, Dylan blocks Shedeur in Cleveland, Isaiah Bond is brought in a year earlier to secure him because he is one of the receivers from Texas for the Manatee. And then there's Tom Telesco, who actually has a lesser title than Andrew Berry, but came over to help Andrew Berry. And did y'all hear what the black GM from Minnesota that was fired said? And I believe him because the look on his face on that Tuesday that they told us they're going to hold a press conference on Thursday, and all they said was they was keeping him, and they gave him an extension in 25, and they fired him after they hired Ian Cunningham in Atlanta, who's black and never been a GM. You know what he said? I never felt welcomed. The entire time I've been here, I never felt welcome. That man did not draft J.J. McCarthy. Just like the black GM in Atlanta did not sign. It was not his idea to bring in Kirk Cousins for $180 million. It was not Andrew Berry's idea to bring in Deshaun Watson for $230 million. But they all were scapegoated. And that's all you good for. That's it. That's it. So I want to see what y'all are saying, because that was a lot. I hope y'all liked it. It was informative, but I want to see what y'all saying. So y'all know we already took a poll. Everybody said it's a rebuilding year. That's probably what it's going to be, because it furthers the owner's agenda. And you're going to hear me talk like that. You're going to hear me say, all right, so the Browns need to prove that they want to win, number one, because they clearly didn't want to win last year. Number two, what is the owner's agenda for Shedeur Sanders? Because he told us he wasn't my pick. Cool. So what the hell do you have planned for Shedeur and for any quarterback for the foreseeable future? You're going to hear me talk like that because there is nobody else asking a question. And those are the types of questions that need to drive conversations so the 20 million fans can have their expectations level set so they can know what their talking points are when they're interacting with these people. Don't just be out here believing the headlines. Oh, all of the coaches that interviewed with the Browns were asked about developing Shedeur. Keep reading. Keep reading. That's what people have to understand. This ain't on the up and up here. Now you know it's a script. It ain't on the up and up. And the script is multi-purpose. And they trying to hide their racism and tell you about it at the same time. That's just crazy to me. Hey, Tina, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Hey, Miss Pamela, how you doing? How you doing? It said, good evening, good evening, good evening, Roger. It said, yes, Shedeur made it to San Francisco. Yeah, I was happy to see that. Hey, 420, how you doing? 420, how you doing, Jenkins? Hey, Miss D, welcome back. It said, the fly show on the planet. Thank you, Ramon. We all woke over here all day. All day. It said, finally a show I can relate to. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What's up? What's up? What's up? Who's that? Cassian? Welcome back. Welcome back. It said, hey, everybody. Hey, Remy. Is that Rennie? Welcome back. It said it was in the 80s today in Phoenix. Okay, you brag. You bragging. But enjoy the weather. Enjoy the weather. I would think this is the last cold snap before the spring, but February is just around the corner, so I might be wrong about that. There might be another snow. Last week in Atlanta was ice. This week we got the snow. So let's see what happens next week. We'll see what happens next week. Safe travels. Thank y'all so much. 15 degrees in Maryland. Ooh. Lady T in the building. It said it's 30 degrees here in Tampa. Very windy. It started sleety. Okay. So it's coming that way. Sounds like it. 11 degrees in DC. Oh, man. It said it's still bitter and cold in Maryland. It was about 10 degrees here. Oh, wow. Looking forward to the Pro Bowl. Facts. Me too. Me too. I'm gonna have to get where I gotta get and take me a nap and um, make sure I'm available because I'm excited. That's my bowl. That's the Super Bowl for me. The Pro Bowl. Jalen Hurts gonna be there. Flacco gonna be there. I'm happy about Flacco and Shedeur being back together. Shedeur gonna be there. People like, what if he don't play? I don't care. I really don't care. I want him to go out there and just have some fun, just like he was doing in Paris. Just go have some fun. Don't even worry about it. Just have some fun. Don't even worry about whatever happens. Just enjoy it, right? Hey, BJ, I wish it was still in Hawaii. I didn't know it moved over to the States. It said, good evening. It said Shedeur has arrived in San Francisco to the Pro Bowl. Thank you. Thank you for that, Joyce. Hey, Val. It said pressure from insecurity. Yep, that's it, Miss Pamela. It said because they want the savior, Archie. That's it right there. That's just it. And people aren't ready to accept that that's what it is. Wait till they find out how long they've been working on this. Remember, I think it was Salafi that sent the clip that said it was a post that they gave that kid scholarship papers and when he was first born at the hospital. Now I know everybody's like, yeah, that's a joke. No, it's not. And somebody said that's what privilege looks like. And somebody said to me, that kid not good enough. I'm like, I don't give a damn if he ain't good enough or not. Was Tyler Shaw? And they got away with it, right? Okay, then. It's straight off the name, but Shedeur couldn't do it off of his name. Now that's the racism. Because you better explain to me why the Manny kid can come in 2 years behind Shedeur off of his name, but Shedeur can't come in off of Deion Sanders. Get the hell out of here with that. That asserts that you only respect fans that look like the Mannings. That's what that means. And as of right now, they're trying to turn this whole league upside down to suppress the Shedeurs. Coming out and saying before the combine, we don't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now. Then why you draft them? If it ever did go to a court of law, it would be a damn good trial with the witnesses, with the evidence, with the questions. So can you explain to us why you chose to draft Shedeur if you knew that? And can you also explain to us why it is you invited he and his father to the Super Bowl as celebrity guests? Can you explain that? Can you also explain to the jury why it is that Archie Manning can come out 2 years after Shedeur on the strength of his family's name and not be as talented, but Shedeur Sanders, who won and the best quarterback in college and won the Johnny Unitas Award, who is considered to be elite and a second rounder. Can you explain to the jury why it is Shedeur Sanders can't come in as a legacy? Explain it, Jim Crow. Can you explain to the jury what you meant by when you said the NFL doesn't want quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders now? Can you explain to the jury why it is the league itself would give out Shedeur Sanders' phone number to people who are associated with the New York Times? Can you explain to the jury why the owner of the Cleveland Browns would allow such negligence to occur against the young quarterback once he arrived to Cleveland? Can you explain why you evaluated him as a number 2 pick overall? Explain to the jury how it is you came to understand that his skill set is considered retro style and out of favor with modern quarterbacks. And then when he lands there, you have a competition and he wins it and he still doesn't get the starting job. It's given discrimination. It will be a movie. It will blow it all up. I personally think it should happen. Don't know how we're going to get there, but we might still get there, just not inside a court of law. And it's very possible because people are starting to talk. And I don't know what it is about this particular situation or this particular year. You now have former NFL players, black and white, telling you what's going on. I'm not even used to that. And maybe because I was all into basketball, I didn't notice it. But it's noticeable now. The wags are what's saving people's interest in the Super Bowl. Cardi B and some of the other Patriots wags. Otherwise, people don't give a shit. People are more excited about the Pro Bowl. And the fact that the NFL has Shedeur Sanders' face on the damn front page with Dylan in the background, and he ain't even there. He not playing. It tells you. So are you just using Mr. Sanders for likes and clicks, but you don't respect his talent? Can you explain to the jury why it is that he's a 5th round pick, even though you evaluated him at number 2 overall, but he can make the Pro Bowl? And the player that was in front of him did not. See, greed is what it is. See, they can't resist the likes and clicks and the media attention because it's already documented 3 years ago that the NFL was falling out of favor with white people. So is this some sort of last-ditch effort to dumb down the league so you don't have too many black quarterbacks because white people want to go find pickleball to watch? We play pickleball too. It could be. Because they are truly trying everything possible to push out the black leadership. Didn't want Shedeur to be the face of the league, but he the face of their goddamn website in the Pro Bowl. That's my Super Bowl. I'm boycotting the other one. So it said Deion didn't allow his sons to join the wild crowds in the sports world, the baby oil crowd. No, he didn't. And thank God. Thank God. Thank God he did not. It said fickle in their ideology of what that means or look like. They keep looking for the next best person, right? And it seemed like he got to be Caucasian, unfortunately. Hey, Crowley, how you doing? How you doing? It said they're contemplating getting another quarterback with the draft, sending Dylan away, right? And understand this, right? I don't know if Dylan gonna end up in Atlanta or not, but I'd be curious to see what happens because if Stefanski can't bring him to Atlanta, oh, they straight played in his face. They because understand, I don't think Dylan's contract was guaranteed unless it was behind closed doors. And that is very possible. Because if so, he got 1 year and they don't have to pay him for the rest of the years. They could be like, you know what, take care. And that's it. That's really how it goes. Right. And you could tell that that's what they wanted to do to Shedeur, but they have since then changed their mind. And for the NFL to have on its own website that Shedeur suggests that he's comfortable with a backup security position. He could get security with the backup position, but he plastered all over the Pro Bowl page site. He's the attraction of the Pro Bowl, and now everybody else going, and that's all people want to talk about. Are you confused? Are you confused? Or is it that you feel like you're going to treat the Pro Bowl like the G League, and you're going to treat the Super Bowl like, you know, it's just zenith? Get the hell out of here with that. Fans want to see exciting football, and if all they could get it was 7-on-7 with Shedeur over there and Flacco and Jalen Hurts, and that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going with. And that's the danger of them even having a G League, them even having flag football, because it's just somewhere to stuff black talent until we decide we want to look into that. But they have already endorsed a young black lady that I've talked about previously that plays flag football at Alabama State. Yeah. I said, oh, okay. So when it comes to flag football, you running over there to embrace black women. But you over here in the pros where you consider it to be elite, shunning black male talent. That ain't going to work for you because we are related. In some way, shape, or form, people going to catch on what's happening. Remember I told y'all they were using the black hair care line that was sold out. The black people don't own it no more. And they were using that to advertise to black women. I said, see, this is where all the shit gonna blow up. Because you're pandering to us. You want us to spend, you want to advertise to black women, but you want to, when it comes to black quarterbacks, you want to do what? Treat them like they're not human. You want to cheat them. You want to ostracize them. You know their families are black, right? You know their families, no other families that are black. That's not gonna work. And that's what's gonna get them crossed up. Just like their greed is going to get them crossed up because, yeah, we don't know about Shedeur being good, but he plastered all over the face of everything. That's why fans already started staying home. And the fans in Cleveland do not like the Monken hire. And it don't have nothing to do with what they did to Lamar. That's a whole separate issue right there. So look for the whole ability to contain Shedeur Sanders or for the strategy to make sure he can't make off script plays. And not because of the betting, but because it proves that they should have never took him off the board, and they still outrunning that lie too. That he was entitled, or that he was this or that. And I heard that now players are starting to come out and say that was never true. So pay attention to some reversal of action. And we need to wait and see who the hell gonna still be on that team from that raggedy O-line, the first string and the second string. Because if it's still 68, 72, Joel Batonio, Jack Conklin, either Posick, or any one of them, it's gonna be a problem. Because it proves they don't want to win because they worked there last year. And it was raggedy last year with different people. So pay attention to who comes back on the offense. According to Haslam, they're making a lot of changes on offense, but they won't commit to Shedeur. Okay. We'll get ready for round 2. That's why I sent Shedeur a book, and I hope he got it. I sent it to his post office box. How to deal with difficult people. And I said, please take a moment and just read this book before you have to get ready for round 2. Ding, ding. I hope he reads at least the front or the back cover or something, because it will help him. It will definitely help him. It said the GM is very slick. You never know what he gonna do. That's right, Val, because I think he gonna get fired. Honestly, I already know he gonna get fired. And you know what I think they're gonna do? I think they're gonna do something stupid in the draft, or they gonna sign somebody. It's either a Mac Jones type coming over in free agency, somebody to overshadow Shedeur. That's what they're looking for. Overshadow him in talent. I don't know who that's gonna be. Overshadow him in celebrity. Don't know who that's gonna be. See, they already tried the Dylan. See, that didn't work. So they can't do another Dylan. It's got to be somebody that they believe is better than Shedeur. Somebody they think the fans would like. Somebody that the fans they can sell to, so they could just kind of like drown out Shedeur. Now, they already did the Dylan thing. That didn't work, right? I watched Atlanta do this with Michael Penix Jr., and they thought money was going to make a difference. Overpaying Kirk Cousins $180 million benefited Kirk Cousins and his agent, not the Falcons. They found themselves embroiled in hot mess for 2 years. Year 1, the fans threatened to just revolt. Year 2, they fought for Michael Penix Jr. and got him, and they made Michael Penix Jr. unavailable. Stay tuned. And we worried about Shedeur being intentionally injured this year. It happened to Lamar. They got him twice. These are the things that people don't want to admit, but this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And because Monken succeeded with Lamar, be careful. And Shedeur better be careful. And again, that was a bad signal. I told my guys, let's be legendary. You ain't heard nobody else talking like that. Y'all have not heard. Nobody else talk like that. In fact, when they were going in on Shedeur before the draft, they hated the whole, why does he use be legendary? And that's exactly what Lamar said before Monken arrived in Cleveland. And no coincidence, baby. Jesus is going to have to wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning and say, it was coincidence, boo. Because that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. So understand. Some people knew some things. So yeah, I agree with you. The jury is still out on Monken. Thank you, Ramon. It said the meet and greet was, see, we like him. Thank you, Val. That's exactly what it was. It was exact to be the exact opposite of what Stefanski was doing. So you could let your guard down and think all is well. No, it is not. He might not be Stefanski in the abusive manner, but that script is still there. Pay attention to what happened with Lamar. I'm going to do a whole separate show about it. It said he was a priority to Andrew Berry, but not to Stefanski. Okay, so you think he was a priority to Berry? I think Berry sold Shedeur up the river. Remember Project 2027? That's what it is. That's what we're going to start calling. They're wanting to get Archie Manning. Project 2027. That's what it is. They already got Tom Telesco. That's to replace Andrew Berry. As soon as we send him out here to take the fall for whoever we sign in free agency, whoever we bring in the draft to try to push back Shedeur. The moment he finished doing that, he can get the hell on. That's exactly what happened with Stefanski. How many times did y'all hear me say, why they didn't fire Stefanski during the season? Apparently, there's a job that he has to do. and they're going to let him finish the season. And he did. What was the last thing that we knew to happen? They tried to crush his nail to make him unavailable. That is the strategy next year. I'm telling you that's what it is, because that's what Monken did to Lamar. I thought, he getting hurt like that all of a sudden. And then we were talking about how number 77 crushed his ankle, and we watched, they didn't protect for him. They weren't quite dirt divers and as obvious, but understand, that's a black O-line coach. And that's how they do it. Oh, get a black person to do it. Look at how long Andrew Berry took the fall for Deshaun till we came along and incessantly repeated it. And now they realize that that wasn't true. They was going, when we first came to this situation, Andrew Berry was trash. He gave away all the first round picks. And he gave Deshaun all that money. I say, y'all out y'all goddamn mind. If you think people that don't want black quarterbacks and black offensive coordinators would give a lowly GM the power to give away $230 million to a black quarterback that all he did was ask for a trade. I'm like, that don't even make sense. I'm like, no. And then Kimberly Martin said it on ESPN. She cleared it up. Glad she cleared it up. And if you don't know who Kimberly Martin is, if you go back to one of Shedeur's first interviews on the ground, there was a black lady in Cleveland that asked him or something, and she was real encouraging to him, and he was looking at her, and she was using her phone. That's Kimberly Martin. She said, I don't know why Haslam keeps saying, or people keep saying that Andrew Berry drafted or signed Deshaun. She said, no, that's about Haslam. He told Berry, go get me that guy. See, it took a black woman. And it took a black woman. It took her to say it. And I was like, she probably ain't gonna get invited back to Cleveland, but hell, I don't care, because this is gold. And then what did we see, right? We started to realize, I'm like, I think it's premeditated what happened to Shedeur, that they cut bait. And what happened? Flacco and Pickett. Flacco and Pickett were never long-term solutions. One is injury prone and not good. The other one is 40-something and has only played 7 or 8 games since 2017. All they did was come in, suck up the reps to hold back Shedeur like Dylan. And maybe he can go now too, because I'm going to get somebody else. That's just like Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. They don't need him no more. I don't need Kirk Cousins to hold back Michael Penix Jr. I got a coach to do it. Stefanski. That's why Stefanski on that. Yeah, I'm excited to develop Michael. You don't even know how to develop film. Like, what the hell are you talking about? That's why I said, what exactly does that look like? And the Falcons reporters need to ask those questions. When you say develop, what do you mean? Because he's good. The fans love him like he is. Just give him the playbook. See, they can't just give him the playbook. They got to keep talking that extract star caliber play. Just let him play. You ain't got to extract it. He going to voluntarily give it. They just do not want to admit he was good in the preseason. He was good in the regular season. In the damn dead of winter against the toughest teams and went toe-to-toe with Josh Allen. They don't want to admit it. That's where we coming in. That's exactly where we come in. I have no intentions on sitting silently. I'm hooked up with all these platforms. If I ain't on this one, I'll be on another one. And letting these people derail this kid again. Just like we said after the draft, I'm not going to sit by and watch you do this shit no more to nobody else. That's why I wanted them kids to go back to school. And shout out to them. So now Shedeur got to keep his head on the swivel for year 2. He's smart enough not to buy into all that touchy-feely. His hand was across his body because he don't know that dude. And they don't let on. So it's the jury still out. Wait and see. It said, why is it that was the only question that was leaked? Right. That's wait a minute. So y'all didn't have Deshaun and y'all didn't ask about them? You see, they're intentionally putting this information out here. And when you look at the headline, it makes people run and post it. See, they understand the psychology of social media. They got it down. Just run out here and put this headline, and that's all they're going to read. And that's true. Like, whoever put that bull crap out there about Georgia, they didn't read it. They didn't bother to read that. They weren't even there at the same time, and it's just gone viral. And it's just, and even though Bucky put it out there, some people see it as Yeah, Bucky confirming it. I'm like, Lord, have mercy. And just a simple, quick search will do. You can only do so much. They said, I will wait till October to determine if they're going to Shedeur Sanders under the bus. Okay. It said they not blowing up the defense. They're building the offense. That's the plan. Okay, we going to see. Because I believe that Haslam want to make it look like it's a total rebuild. Let's see if we ever get to hear that word. It should be, I mean, it is a total rebuild. You say you're not blowing up the defense. I don't know. They might be sick of Myles Garrett. Because I still need somebody to explain to me why only Myles Garrett and Shedeur got robbed. Notice nobody talks about it. Find it very interesting. Also, the only two that we heard about got speeding tickets in Strongsville, where Black people are 2% of the population. Don't look like a coincidence. It said he has proven himself. It said it's smoke and mirrors. Well said, well said, well said. From Stefanski 2.0. Facts. Hey, Juanette, how you doing? It said they always playing games. It said this is a professional team in high school. They never stop the games. That's it. They never stop the games. They just never stop. It said Shedeur is a star caliber, but the Browns tried to stop him in every way. Right. And I don't think they're going to be no different. Definitely the plan. Yup. Thank you, Ramon. It said, I hope they can keep Jim. That defense is good. Yeah, that's going to be interesting there because he mad for a reason. And again, I think he may have realized. I mean, don't forget now, Tom Telesco was brought in to help with the hiring decision. Tom Telesco is why Monken is there. That's why they brought in Telesco to push Andrew Berry. You get the hell out the way, but don't go too far because I'm going to need you to do something dumb in the draft, and we're going to let you get the blame for it. But come over here, Monken. You think it's a coincidence all these people in the Manning inner circle? Come on now. The inner coaching circle, the inner circle, and then Peyton Manning is in Haslam's inner circle of trust. Come the hell on. And I told y'all Isaiah Bond, and people thought I was saying he was in on it. I don't know what the hell he know, but what I do know is he don't have a standard rookie contract. He gonna get his contract renewed faster than Shedeur and all the other guys. Yep. So, and you see what's going on with Jerry Jeudy. He had that $28 million guarantee, and in 1 year, it went to $41 million. They won 3 games. I'm like, why are we rewarding the person who had the most drops? What are you rewarding? That's a bribery happening somewhere. It's that Shedeur's fine. He's himself. He know he still has work to do. It's not about Shedeur doing work. He had work to do last year. Was it recognized? See, when people make comments like that, that means they're not willing to look at the reality. For one, there's already history. Monken already has history in this league. Monken already has history with a quarterback that is mobile, right? And then you also have the Browns already have history with Shedeur, as do the 32 owners that took him off the board. Understand, they not never letting that go unless something unexpected, like maybe a list with people on it, forces them to let it go. Because apparently on the Epstein list is apparently the co-owner of the New York Giants with over 330 mentions or messages. It's going to take something like that. And there's a whole list of people in the sports world that are on it. Peyton Manning was on there, but they said it was about business, something about getting jerseys for the boys. It was Geno Smith and Peyton Manning. And they said it was in relation to getting jerseys for the boys. I mean, Peyton Manning has sons, but he can get his sons his own jersey, and Epstein didn't play. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Maybe Epstein had some kids, and Peyton Manning was going to get him the jerseys out. That's what it said, though. It's a whole list. I was debating on whether or not we want to talk about it. I was like, do we want to talk about this? I don't know. Tiger Woods' name was on it. Sammy Sosa's name was on it. And then they tried to clarify, like Robert Kraft, the owner of there were several owners on it, but they tried to tell you what it was that they were communicating with this person about. But the co-owner of the Giants, 330 messages of mentions. So, and they said what it was he was calling about, and he says he hates that he had that association, and it wasn't good. So we're gonna have to see if they're gonna hold any of these people accountable, if we ever gonna get the truth. Jay-Z name came up. Didn't we just talk about Jay-Z the other day? So pay attention. Jay-Z and Pusha T name came up, but it just said it was a contact. So it'll be interesting with all of these sports people in the list, right? Several NFL owners, Peyton Manning, Geno Smith, Jay-Z, Pusha T, Sammy Sosa. The list goes on. It'll be interesting to see who gets held accountable, if anybody. Yeah. Interesting, very interesting. It's gonna take something like that. It said, in my opinion, I prefer a younger coach that will grow with 12 and not slight and mistreat nephew. I agree. And I personally thought if Andrew Berry was making the hire, it would have been maybe Nate. I don't know. Nate was never a coordinator. He was just a run pass coordinator. So I don't know if he would have been a good head coach. I mean, McDaniel maybe, but he was just giving puppet. And it seemed like to me, McDaniel just wanted the duck out of the process because it's toxic. And I get it. He like, look, I like football, but I don't need to be the head coach. Y'all ever heard, there's a trend happening with the younger generation. They don't want to be managers no more. People be like, well, you got to do all of this and do all of that. You get up to be a promotion. They're like, no, thank you. I just want to come to work and go home and get my paycheck and have fun. I don't want to be managers no more. So McDaniel is given. He didn't want to be the head coach because he already been one. And I enjoy the game, but I don't want to be a scapegoat because that's what he was. Just like Chris Grier. And see, McDaniel didn't know it until he got to a certain point, right? Like they were like, well, he got fired because he wouldn't bench Tua, but they wouldn't let him bench Tua. And they used Tua's performance to fire the GM. How does Tua underperforming get the GM fired? But the coach can't bench him? So they was just trying to get rid of the three of them. In fact, somebody hit me up and said they thought Tua was coming this way. When I say this way, I mean Cleveland. They thought Tua was coming to the Browns. It's going to be somebody. It's going to be somebody to replace Dylan to do what Dylan's purpose was. And they already know Shedeur got 20 million fans, and you're going to have to find somebody that they like, or it's going to be somebody else's career they want to trash. That's it. That's just it. So you're going to have to see, but it ain't on the up and up. That's just what you need to know. It says Shedeur has to grow into adulthood, experience behavior. It said people tell you who they are. Just listen. Shedeur is a young baller. Yep. Just listen. That's true. People do tell you who they are. It said, which do you prefer? A fumble behind the line of scrimmage or an interception or 12 getting sacked? It's going to be something. It's going to be something. It's going to be something. It said, we will have to wait and see. It said, Monken is the head coach, and he's putting together his staff. It said, the main thing that I see is that Shedeur seems to be happy with the selection. Roger, you don't know what the hell Shedeur feeling. What you think Shedeur going to stand there and pout in the man's office? Come on now. That means you believe everything you see. That's what that means. And I ain't trying to convince you or nothing because that ain't my job. My point is when people say things like that, they not taking into account the context of the situation. What did you think he was going to do? Did you notice how quick Monken was to say, we tried to draft your ass, and we'll talk about that later. You know why? Because they didn't try to draft him as a QB2. They were going to draft him 141 and make fun of him at 141, just like they made and mocked him at 144. So he was going to be a backup to the backup. And that's why Monken shut that down by saying, but we'll talk about that later. Pay attention. It's out there for you. It don't give a damn what Monken want to do. Monken was hired because of what the owner wants to do. This is an owner. He doesn't meddle. He directs and dictates. This man took Andrew Berry to the University of Texas versus Ohio. During the season, people kept saying before we got to the playoffs, oh, yeah, they going to get Mendoza. I said, who going to get Mendoza? Talking about the Browns going to get Mendoza. I said, is his last name Manning? They talking about, no. I'm like, then okay. Did you see Haslam take Andrew Berry in tow on his private jet to Indiana? No. Did he go to Miami? No. Where did he go? Ohio State versus Texas. Have you heard anybody talking about that kid from Ohio State? By process of elimination and all the other evidence supports, he wants the Manning kid. He don't want to say it out loud right now because he don't want to win. And he got to explain why. And the fan base is not happy with them trying to tank again. They tried to keep it a secret. They wanted to lose last year. That's why Dylan was being kept in there and they were just losing. They didn't want to try to win. And they know Shedeur's a winner. They ain't dumb. Like Mary Cabot State, she put them on blast. As soon as day 3 of the press conference. Well, y'all spend a lot of time with Shedeur, so y'all know who he is. But then she hopped right on board. Well, Dylan got first team reps with the offensive defense. He was rewarded with that. So while sometimes they don't always know what's going on, they quickly jump on board. That's why I don't like none of their media people. None of their media people at all. It says, Shedeur admittedly said in his past game press conference, he needs to work on things. It's not about what he needs to work on. It's not even about that. Of course, everybody have things they need to work on. Shit, I need to work on getting this lighting in the right place. But the point is, I get the fair opportunity to come sit here in front of you, whether the light is right or not. There's people that believe in me enough that they're going to let me get on here and try to get it right. That's not the case with Shedeur. That's what people are missing. If the owner wanted Shedeur to be successful, and he said we could have won more than 5 games, he would have fired Stefanski mid-season after Callahan and before Dabo. Understand that. Instead, Shedeur might actually get retaliated against because he did not want to fire Stefanski. Seemingly, he had to fire Stefanski, which is why he was so happy Stefanski was getting another job. Make that make sense. Brian Leftwich, or Coach of Color, included, right? And they said Leftwich didn't even get no interviews. It said number 12 since middle school has received elite QB training. Facts. That's facts. And they ignore all of that. It said Shedeur and CP have to wake up to all these tricks. It said owners are long-term, not immediate thinkers. Oh, I totally agree with that. It said no diss, but Dylan is just a backup. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where Dylan lands. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with that. If he gonna follow the guy that brought him in as a favor to Dan Lanning and to hold back Shedeur, is he going to Atlanta to hold back Michael Penix Jr.? I don't see it. Just because I think the way they moving over there with all of these tour press conferences and trying to convince us that Stefanski like Dylan and Shedeur, and he couldn't say their names again. It proves, and then they hired Ian Cunningham. After firing a black GM that was successful, they went and got a black guy who was never a GM. So they ain't stupid. So I don't know if Dylan gonna make the trip. If so, he gonna be QB4 or something like that, or 3. But it'll be interesting to see. And I think for Stefanski to end up with a black GM, when they hired Stefanski before they hired the GM, they said they was gonna let Stefanski be a part of the decision-making process. He my hell out of Andrew Berry. So I don't think he would have wanted him. I think they had to get him, which is why he's never been a GM. Pay attention to when they get certain people. It's almost like they get people that they don't expect to succeed. Dylan, same thing. And they just played in his face because they used him like a wedge to hold back Shedeur. It said, can't wait to see how Shedeur game improves in 2 years. I don't think he needs to improve like that, personally. I think Shedeur is an NFL-ready quarterback. It said the media will ruin Shedeur. Oh, they always going to try. The media is catching a lot of flack right now. I haven't seen any of their podcasts, or I don't watch them like that, like on YouTube. But what I am hearing across multiple platforms is people are calling them toxic. The Browns media is toxic. That's what they're saying. And that's being said in different ways, but on multiple platforms. It said if the meet and greet was only with Shedeur, that seems like a positive with Shedeur. No other players met the new head coach but Shedeur. Okay. I'm going to just have to let you wait and see. You'll see. You'll see. That don't make no sense, does it? Cam went back to meet his head coach. I don't know if they asked him to, but he was working out in Miami, right? I mean, it does seem like positive. But again, the whistle hasn't blown yet. I told you, anything that happened right now, it don't even matter. It's what happens say pay attention to the draft and free agency. I want to see what they gonna use Andrew Berry to do before they fire him. That's what I want to see. Because Celeste goes over there for a reason. Unless he only came to hire Monken, and that should tell you everything you need to know. That should tell you everything you need to know if Telesco came and left only to hire Monken and get the Manning inner circle person in. That's the dominoes. So we just gonna see. We gonna see what happens with Andrew Berry. And they might want to fire him like they fired the GM in Miami because of Tua, the quarterback. Let's see what happens. It said the Cleveland fans need to be ready to boycott the game and the tailgate if they try to crap with Shedeur another year. But you know what's interesting? The Cleveland fans are already upset because they don't like the Monken hire. Now, the outsiders like ourselves, the people that are new to Cleveland, I find it interesting that the Cleveland fans don't like Monken. They like, I'm out. I don't even know what it was like. They said he failed to develop Baker Mayfield. They said the team actually regressed under him. And I thought they said they went 6-10. So they don't like him for a reason. So we'll see. We shall see. So it's not just about Shedeur this year. It's about the long-term plans. And does anybody know the details of Monken's contract? Did he get a contract yet? Like, have they said if it's 3 years, 5 years, that kind of thing? That's also interesting. Some people think he's a bridge. Some people think Monken is a bridge quarterback to get to 2027. But I would think they want to jeopardize Schwartz for a bridge head coach. What y'all think about that? I don't think you want to run off your number 2 defensive creator for a guy that you only going to have for 1 or 2 years. So it makes me think they're willing to lose Schwartz, who only had a 1-year contract, and Monken going to hire the next DC, even if it's next year, and that Monken is probably around for 3 to 5 years. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It said the number of questions represent the number of times the head coach will trick and slip until they catch that lick. Possibly. It said they know they can't personally control Shedeur. It said the world can see he have the skills, but the bowing down to God on his knees in front of 65,000 people. Oh, no, the owner said. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. It says Shedeur needs to privately talk to Lamar. I feel like that has happened. I feel like that has happened. It said we all need to get on Jimmy Haslam's social media. It said we know he doesn't like bad publicity. We can't let him get away with this mistreatment of Shedeur. I totally agree, because we're not going to just be sitting by for year 2. Hell, we were vocal in year 1. And so bring it. That's what I say. Bring it. If that's what you want to do, you better get ready. So understand the decisions that they are making, just the interaction, the way Monken was with Shedeur tells you that they already know there's certain things they can do and certain things they absolutely cannot do. And I know for a fact they don't like that. To me, it makes sense to trade Shedeur. But see, what about the people that took him off the board and has him as a part of that group? See, they still running from that lie. So if he goes somewhere else, he could get up there just like he came out from QB4 to QB1 and balled out, right? So according to Haslam, when he was asked about the quarterback situation, we're going to make a lot of changes on offense. That's what he said. And I said Andrew Berry still got a job for a reason. And I want to see what they make him do that's stupid, because I know it's coming. Just like I said before the draft, they get ready to do something asinine. Because you could tell by the way they were trashing Shedeur. And I think it was Salafi that says, you think maybe the whole, Coach Prime doing the celebrity game and then Shedeur at the Pro Bowl, maybe there's some kind of lawsuit or something going on that maybe they starting to be nice. We'll see. You're going to have to go a little further to answer that question. You're going to have to go a little further to answer that question. It says Seahawks are for sale, and so should the Browns. Yeah, facts. Somebody asked me about Miro today. I said to I think it was Miss Barbara. She said, Miro's still over there. I'm like, yep. They put in print, he is buried on the depth chart for 2 years. He was QB2. They moved him to QB3. So he could be buried on the depth chart for 2 years. And I told her, I said, that's what they wanted to do with Shedeur, but 20 million people said no. I can't impress upon people that come over to this league. You better come in here with some soldiers. You better come in here with some people. That's the lesson. Because then they have to bow to the pressure. They have to do a little something different other than what they want to do. They can't do what they want to do. They have to go about it a different way, but they still gonna try it. That's one thing I have observed. If they have something they want to do, they just gonna do it. And I might do it differently, but I'm still gonna do it. And that's why I say it is round 2, ding ding. Understand. And I saw what they did last year. They made people unavailable. It said the key aspects is everything that Mahomes and Lamar do is instincts, facts. And that's what remember the guy, I think he unfortunately might be battling cancer. Remember the older guy, Bernie Kosar, is that his name? Yeah. He said, what Shedeur has, you can't teach. He said, you can't teach what he has, and you can see it. If he can see it, and we all see it, they see it too. They want to unsee it. They want to contain it. Pay attention to their draft picks. Yep, you have to pay attention to the draft picks. I totally agree. It said the word salad they use is to make us think that we can't figure out what they are really saying. This is over the top and ridiculous. Yep. It said, remember, most interceptions are the fault of the receiver. It's funny. They make it seem like the 10 Shedeur had was all him, but I think it was only 2 that were on him. Those tip passes. Oh, I think it was one that he actually threw to somebody, I think, too. And they were like, he probably wants to get that decision back or something like that. But interceptions do happen. It said when Cleveland drafts this year, unless you watch college football closely with the cable channel sports package, nobody is going to know who they are. I believe that. I believe that. I believe that. I don't think they want no stars. That's why they always get these nondescript people. Monken, in my opinion, hopes Shedeur wins the QB competition so he can build around him. Yeah, but Shedeur shouldn't be competing for shit. Monken should come in here with Shedeur knowing Shedeur is QB1. How many times he got to prove himself? And that's the narrative. See how people are already starting to get comfortable with he got to compete again. Is Cam competing? No. Is Tyler Shaw competing? No. Is Jackson Dart competing? No. Is Mendoza going to compete? No. Why Shedeur got to compete? You see how comfortable people are with that? That's what they want. That's why they keep talking about it. The more they talk about it, the more you seem to accept it. Shedeur should not be competing for anything. In fact, I remember Shedeur being in Paris, and I remember him saying when they were in the car, something Shiloh said about waiting for something. And he didn't mumble it, but he didn't say it really loud. But it was like, yeah, I don't have to wait for anything. So it was something they was talking about. And he feel like, no, I don't have to wait for nothing. So I don't know. If you catched it, let me know what it was about. But I heard what he said, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. He has options. And that's exactly what I took from it. Whatever it is that he said, I don't have to wait for nothing, it meant he has options. And they better understand, Shedeur got options. And they can play all day. But the Sanders don't let on. And I think, if they want to do something different, they'll do it. They'll do it. So, people saying he shouldn't go to the Pro Bowl. Yes, the hell he should. That's his blessing for all of that destruction towards his career. This is where he gets to go and continue having fun and walking down the streets in Paris and eating cake. Now he just get to go up there, getting us some video and making us some videos to watch, because the Paris diaries were really good. So I'm ready for the San Francisco diaries. So y'all think Shiloh gonna be there? Or if y'all already know if he there, let me know. I mean, I know Bucky probably going, but I want some quality video like the Paris diaries. That was actually really good. I didn't say he doesn't need to be developed. That's not what I said. First of all, define development. What I said was they shouldn't be stalling and unsure. They should be committed to Shedeur as a QB1. What I also said is that they hate when these quarterbacks, whether they win the Heisman or the Johnny Unitas, if they Black, they hate when they come in year one, NFL ready. And I need somebody to define development. First of all, what kind of game are we playing? Because it seems to be the rise of the check down kings and trying to break down Lamar Jackson, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, or anybody else that is mobile or dual threat into what you call a pro-style pocket passer or a check down king like Dylan and Tyler Shaw or Mendoza is not development. You're hindering their development. So be careful throwing around the word development. Ask them to define it. Because all I see is they want to break them down into pocket passers and check down kings. But the Browns didn't want to get Shedeur because he was a pocket passer. Shedeur was NFL ready. Michael Penix Jr., NFL ready. Lamar Jackson, NFL ready. It's funny how Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, Justin Fields, Shedeur Sanders, well, not Shedeur, but Cam Ward. It's funny how they all get so sacked excessively. Caleb Williams. And they come out of college at the top of their game, winning the Heisman, winning the Johnny Unitas. It didn't happen to Bo Nix. It was okay for him to start year one. Jackson Dart would have started game one if he didn't flop in training camp. They wanted Tyler Shaw to start game one, but he flopped in training camp. Shedeur got to be held back. Lamar got to be held back. The only way Josh Allen was able to defeat the Ravens, because somebody on the Ravens team seems to always make a mistake. They don't need development and they don't want to admit it. But they know it, which is why they're trying to smother and stifle their athleticism. And it's not development to break down an elite, exceptional quarterback into a damn check down king. That's not development. That's not development at all. That's a shame. You shouldn't have drafted him if you wanted basic. You don't draft exceptional and tear it down to basic. Nobody's asking for that. Instead, they trying to develop him into an actor and play his part. Oh, definitely, for sure. And understand this, whether he knows it or not, the longer this happens, it will eventually happen. The longer you in these environments, it will eventually happen. It will eventually happen. It will eventually happen. It's that the problem is black QBs just don't get the same amount of time that white QBs get to develop. First of all, define develop. A lot of these black QBs come in NFL ready and they don't want to admit it because they black. That's the problem. See, the problem, people don't want to admit what's really destroying this league. One is being destroyed right before your eyes. Secondly, it's racism. People think it's betting. No, the betting hides the racism. And as much as they're trying to show you that that's what it is, with the same fervor that Stefanski wanted us to know he didn't want Shedeur, we don't value Shedeur, and the owner let it happen, that's the same fervor they have with their racism. But at the same pace, they chasing down black people to sell their products, to get them to buy into the flag football, to get them to buy in to the Super Bowl so they can come in and wear the outfits and get the jerseys because black people spend money. We're not on food stamps like that. That became very evident, right? I always wondered when the Target boycott first happened. I said, well, why do white people just can't do it? Why they can't keep Target going? Then we found out, right? When they cut off the food stamps. I mean, I told people when I was looking at TikTok, I'm like, black people got some really nice houses. Really nice houses. And I saw it again in Atlanta with the snow. I'm like, black people have some really nice houses. Like really nice. That's why we get advertised too. People just don't want to say it out loud. Everybody knows the largest spending group when it comes to black people is black women. As Nike, when it comes to Shedeur, they know. And now you see the NFL after Nike show improve. You see them over there. Well, let's get on this hair care beauty product line with the black women. Okay, but it's gonna cost you. It's gonna cost you some accountability. It's that there's a difference between develop and acclimate. I know that's right. That's well said. I like that. That's well said. Hey, Kenya, well said. Well said. It said Todd is not no Kevin. Okay. You don't even know what that means. Yes, Todd Monken is Kevin Stefanski 2.0. He got the same script Stefanski has. All he's missing is the abuse that you have seen thus far. But if you want to sit up here and act like everything you saw is on the up and up, what the hell are Dylan and Deshaun? Why only questions about Shedeur was leaked? Who just pointed that out? Why only Shedeur's video was out there? What other two? And if everything is about Shedeur, why the hell can't the Browns commit to him as their starter? Because this is called posturing. I need to sell tickets, damn it. I need to get that money too. That $600 million. The hate for a black man to have confidence in himself. Facts. It said they let the running back do most of the work because they didn't want Cam to get sacked and they knew they couldn't stop the run. Okay, is that what you think? So understand this. Cam got sacked 55 times. 55. And put up, how many yards did he put up? Something crazy, 3,000? Cam Ward stats. He put up some crazy numbers for somebody that got let me see if I got his stats overall. Let's see. He put up 3,169 yards, 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and his QBR was a 33.1. Can you guess why? Because they had him sacked 55 times. I watched when we will be live. Shedeur's QBR would start up here. And every time he got sacked, it went down. They tried to use his QBR against him without even talking about the O-line. Cam got the same problem in Tennessee that Shedeur has, in Cleveland that Lamar has in Baltimore. They don't want to win with a black quarterback. And the Ravens, maybe they want to win with a different black quarterback, but they do not want to win with Lamar. The Browns have proven they do not want to win with Shedeur, and the Titans have proven they do not want to win with Cam. Why would you hire Brian Daboll as your offensive coordinator for Cam Ward, who is damn near best friends with Shedeur Sanders? And you know what Daboll did to Shedeur. Understand this. This will be the first time that you notice the Stefanski script being used on multiple black quarterbacks around the league. This will be the first time. Why? Because 15, if not 18, offensive coordinators have been hired. 7 or 8 coaches were fired. Of the 6 of the 8, all had black quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield is not black, but they coming for him too. Why? Because they been coming for him. But you see, they let him get out. Let's see if Shedeur get out. Because that's what should happen. That's just what should happen. But you better know something is coming. Because look at what happens when they get real nice. Something comes behind it. You better look, because this is just a repeat of last year. It's San Francisco instead of New Orleans. Coach Prime was on the stage with Bill Belichick. Shedeur was in the celebrity game that Coach Prime is coaching in this year. And he's in a Pro Bowl this year instead of the celebrity game. And Coach Prime not on the stage with Belichick. It's the same thing. Involved with the NFL. The same NFL, they eat both of them in the back. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Just see what happened. And yes, Monken is Stefanski 2.0 minus the abuse. It said they let the running back go because Jim Schwartz didn't adjust the whole game. He didn't what? It said they let the running back run because Jim Schwartz don't adjust the whole game. Oh, so Schwartz is a problem? That's what you're saying? Hey, Bridget, how you doing? It said Todd like off-schedule plays and scrambling. Let's see. Let's see what happened. I'm going to do a show on Todd Monken and his treatment of Lamar and how he developed Lamar. And it's funny. People like, yeah, Lamar won an MVP under Monken. He sure did. But how far did he get to the Super Bowl when we know he could have got there? It's always a play. And the message for Lamar, we didn't want you. We was throwing you out, but somebody let you in. Remember what I say, just because they let you in, don't mean they have to let you win. And yeah, you good. We're going to let you ball out. Remember, Baltimore is different from Cleveland. Not every franchise is ass backwards. But understand this. Them 32 session was close. And whatever the agenda is that they come up with is what it's going to be. And every coach hired this year and every offensive coordinator hired this year was hired to exact that agenda. That is why there are 0 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. That is why Caleb got cheated. That is why CJ Stroud got cheated. That's why Jalen Hurts got cheated. You know, they said Cam was injured and took him out the game, and the Jags went on to win, and they were like, oh, it's not that serious. The Titans only had 2 blowout games all season. Guess who was against? The Jags. Y'all better look out for Penix. Yep. That's what I said. And the Falcons fans love Michael Penix. And see, Arthur Blanken set up and said, and understand this, knowing they own some Fugazi in Atlanta, they still came out and committed to Michael Penix. Because they done figured out they're going to do it a different way. That's why Kirk Cousins can go. But you see, the Browns won't do it. See, I told you they got something extra going on over there. And it's the owner. That's why people in Cleveland are saying he got to go. This is why people are saying NFL need to take over this team. Because he's not trying to win. He got an agenda. And it clearly involves misusing black people, including Andrew Berry and Jerry Jeudy. But Jerry Jeudy let himself be used, and so did Andrew Berry. And see, they can't get Shedeur to be bought or make himself a jackal. It said there's a script because they are actors. It said the Browns in the script has been losers. It said the NFL has to give them the go-ahead to win. It's scripted for everyone in the league. They decide who wins. You're probably right. Because what did I say? I mean, you actually onto something because, and that's what I mean by when the 32 get together and decide what it's going to be, and they decide long-term. See, people talking about when Stefanski was hired, what was the first thing I said? I said, well, I guess Tyler Shaw just won the division. Yeah. You would think Atlanta would want to compete. What did we learn from the collusion case? The 61-page document. They don't compete. They collude. They don't compete. It's almost like, you know what? It's your 31st birthday. So you go ahead. We'll let you win this year. Jerry Jones might sell a team. Let's go ahead and let him win this year. And pay attention to what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys too. Because, you know, this time last year, they was nice to Coach Prime. And now they interviewing who? Livingston? Let's see. We've already witnessed after Shedeur was robbed, Vegas was nice to Coach Prime. Then we saw Haslam be nice to Coach Prime. And then we saw Shedeur finish out the season, even though Stefanski tried to run him off. It still don't matter. He still finished the season. And then the owner won't commit. They already had Andrew Berry to come out and say that we haven't solidified the quarterback position. We're looking for a leader at that position, which is probably why he got a cold shoulder from Shedeur, because that's screwed up, right? So that meant that now Shedeur knows that Stefanski wasn't the only problem. And Monken are happy about it because he don't have to be Stefanski. Oh, Andrew Berry already said we're not committed to Shedeur, so you straight. Just come on. They have already figured out who's going to win that division where Stefanski just went. And since they hired Stefanski after his special brand of trying to derail Shedeur, and I already knew they didn't want to win with Michael Penix, and they fired the GM who was successful and brought in somebody who's never been a GM because he's black. And then they fired the dude in Minnesota. They don't respect black people. It's not just the race norm wasn't just about CTE. It wasn't just, we don't need to pay your CTE claims because all black NFL players have lower cognitive functioning than whites. It's black people are inferior to white people, which is why Stefanski kept telling the media, we have standards for this position. When Mary Kay got her chain yanked for saying something about Shedeur not being cerebral, you already heard at Colorado, them using that cerebral trope to put Staub in front of a 5-star. And they don't mind destroying black 5-star quarterbacks because Ty Thompson and Dan Landy. And I hate that kid stayed there. And now he's switching from quarterback to tight end. What did Shiloh joke and say, when Shedeur was eating that cake, they gonna switch you off the tight end. I mean, yeah, it probably was a joke. But at the same time, not a coincidence, that's the position. Instead, Daboll will have Cam running more than he'll like next season. Instead, I hope that Cam doesn't get hurt. Instead, he caused Jackson Dart to get hurt and Daniel Jones when he was on the Giants. I'm pretty sure that's why the hell he was hired over there. Because why else would you hire him? Instead, and they want QBs to stay in the pocket now because of injuries. Yeah, okay. Quarterback can get injured standing in the pocket because Joe Burrow got turf toe. So they're going to get injured, and that ain't why. That's the excuse they used to use when these dual threats came along. And you just repeated it. So you're going to have to realize something. Did Shedeur get injured this year? No. He wasn't even injured that much in Colorado. So Cam, matter of fact, Cam was sacked 55 times, and I don't even know if I don't think he ever had a concussion. That's what they say. But let me see them tell the fans, we don't want the exciting long passes. We want to dumb down the game to 10 yards a catch. You see the fans ran off of Dillon, right? You see they like, don't bring that back here. And they wanted Shedeur. That's why they're not saying it out loud. They trying to work their way in. That's why they want you to be excited about Mendoza. That's why they propped up Tyler Shaw. That's why they brought in Dillon to wet your whistle so you could get ready for that type of play. And that's why Stefanski was mad, because that was his directive. And now you going against the directive and you're making me look stupid. Now I look like the villain. When it was y'all that wanted me to do this, but I agreed. And then he got rewarded to go do it in Atlanta, and Kirk Cousins can go now. Race Norman was not just about CTE. It was about Black people, period. And they treat the players, the coaches, they treat them like it. NFL is not the SWAC, Pac-12, or Big 12. He's going to need development. Shedeur is an NFL-ready QB. Did you not watch Carolina, your home team, play against the Browns? He need no damn development. He needed a playbook. And they didn't even develop him before that. And then he was equally as good versus the Titans when they was out there doing them raggedy Wildcats. I don't know. I need y'all to define development. You keep saying he need development. What does he need? Tell me specifically what he need. And if you say holding on to the ball, you like when Pat Mahomes extend plays, you don't say nothing. People just don't want to admit that these elite Black quarterbacks are coming out of college first year ready. That's just what it is. It's called evolution, people. And they hold it on to the past. They trying to take it back to the past. And not just in terms of dumbing down the game with they pro-style offenses, was exactly what they use to break down Vince Young. That's why they want to go back to it, because it worked. That is cold pro-style offense, as if Shedeur style of quarterback play is not acceptable, as if Lamar's not, as if Cam's not. That shit is ridiculous, bro. People just accept the fact that an abuser got a promotion and they just, oh, I can't wait to see what he does to another Black quarterback. Really? What you think he gonna do? What did he do to the one before Shedeur? The same thing. An insurance company is paying his $46 million. It's all been done before. That we're not reinventing the wheel. It's not new information. There is a history. Monken has a history. Stefanski has a history. And they both still got promoted. And Shedeur and Lamar continuously get trashed. Instead, slow the game down to the coach's lack of innovation. Yep, there is a script. There is a script. There absolutely is a script. It sure is. And I think when these players, I think after Shedeur, I think a lot of these players now see what it is. We didn't say Shedeur was perfect. We didn't say Shedeur was perfect at all. He might need to learn something. But when you say develop, I'm going to need a definition. Because for what I saw in the preseason and what I saw versus the Titans and what I saw versus the Bills, he's an NFL-ready quarterback. And name me one NFL-ready quarterback that don't make an interception every now and then. Hell, Cam has 7 and still put up 3,000 yards. Do you know how exceptional that is? After being sacked 55 times, Do you have any idea how exceptional it is that you've been sacked 55 times, but you can still put up 3,900 yards and only have 7 interceptions? That's who this next class is. And the dudes that are hanging back, they only gonna get better where they are. Evolution is inevitable. And all they're doing is destroying the game. Because if I can't be the captain, then I'm gonna just sink the whole damn ship. Didn't y'all say the Seahawks were for sale? Okay. Evolution is inevitable. It said, like the script, there's also a treatment plan. That's very interesting, Kenya. I like how you said that. I like how they like how you said that. It said, I can't wait till the day Shedeur and Deion Sanders get this page. You sound crazy. I'm like, you sound like you out of your mind. You obviously ain't paying attention. It said, yes, Shedeur can benefit from a QB coach. I think so. I think so. I think they said, did he bring in a coach yet? Did he bring in a QB coach? Oh, I think Stefanski hired his QB coach from when he was with Cleveland, somebody that was there before. And they said they feel like that's some type of an affront to like to flip his nose off at Cleveland. But I don't think that. I think Cleveland is the reason he got the job in the first place. Yeah, I think he got the job in the first place. So, that's just what it is, right? People just need to understand, yes, there's the script apparently. We heard people talking about it, and now basically, we're kind of seeing it play out. And I think there were people that started to realize that the check down king is on the rise. Dylan was the first one when we noticed it, right? But then Tyler Shaw in the draft, really, Tyler Shaw was more so the first one. But then you see how quickly they're moving because they're Mendoza number 1 overall. And let's be honest, right? If the check down king is all of that, and you working to get Mendoza out, why you didn't get Dylan out in the first round? Why you didn't get why wasn't Tyler Shaw evaluated top 5? They were happy when Jackson Dart and Tyler Shaw were drafted because they got away with it. And then what did they do? In the regular season in New Orleans, they gave Spencer Rattler who they wanted to fail. They gave him the toughest stretch of games. And then they gave the easiest stretch of the games, which is pretty much their damn conference. They gave that to Tyler Shaw. And he had largely uncontested passes. The defense was not going at him. It was the Ravens game all over again. But this time, New Orleans versus whoever the hell it was. And I know they cheated Carolina twice. I'm like, so understand there's some cheating happening. There's some bribing happening. There's some intimidation happening. It's corruption. It's just corruption. And the reason why they still going is because who gonna check me, boo? Who gonna check me, boo? That's just what. Browns winning more games than this year. They actually might win more games. I don't know who the quarterback gonna be. Hopefully it's Shedeur. Because from what Monken showed in Baltimore, they can make it to the playoffs, but are they gonna get out? No, because that wasn't the plan. See, that's what I mean. These are different franchises. The different franchises have different agendas, right? The Browns have their own agenda. The Browns owner has their own agenda. And clearly Baltimore got a different agenda. And it might all be tied to 17-32, but how they get there might look a little different. But to be honest with you, when you pay attention to all of the OCs and where they put Cam, who they got hooked up over there with Cam, who they hired after failing Lamar, failing up to Shedeur, it's 17-32. And that agenda is satisfied in numbers, reducing the numbers of black QB1s, and dumbing down the quarterback position overall to fit the Dylans, the Tyler Shaws, the Mendozas, the check down kings. People even talked about it this season. These games seem like they start to get a little boring. Nobody want to see a check. They don't even care that the fans don't want that. I watched when Malik Willis replaced Jordan Love. Jordan Love was out there doing well. They popped the hell out of him, and he had to leave the game. See, they done figured out, I don't need you to be hurt all season. I don't need to bring in a Kirk Cousins and spend all my money to block a black quarterback. just got to get you out the way for a couple of games so we don't get to the playoffs. Because that's what they're trying to stop. Because they're trying to control who goes to the Super Bowl, which is why you got 2 white quarterbacks. First time since 2021. And it ain't going to be the last time. This is the foreseeable future until something changes what they got going on. 17-32. Not just in the regular season, in the Super Bowl. And what happened to Lamar this season proves it. I don't need you to be hurt all season. I can actually win some games and not piss off my fan base. Because that's what Baltimore did. But that don't mean I'm going to let you get to the AFC game or get out of the AFC game. And that's what Monken did. 23-25. So take this MVP trophy and be happy because we're not letting you get to the Super Bowl. You think Shedeur gonna be okay with that? No. Lamar ain't okay with it either. Why y'all think he curved Harbaugh? Because he figured it out. He figured it out. And I'm happy for him because now he get to move accordingly. People talking about he need to come back. No, he don't. Let that man go live his life. I don't know why they feel the need to try to control him like that. I don't know what it is about Lamar why they feel the need to try to control him. I don't know what it is about Shedeur that they feel the need to want to break him down. And I just figure it's their greatness. And the fact that they black and great. So that's just what it is. It said, if everything is a sprint, it said, I understand now why Coach Prime does not want to be a part of coaching in the NFL. All that bad karma. I mean, the fact that it's, a script. That's what you were saying. Yeah, the fact that it's a script, right? The fact that it's a script. I would think that's a part of it. But from what, remember when Coach Prime and everybody was talking about he was going to Dallas? It's not just this, it's a script. It's that when you're a black coach, you don't have no power unless they want to give it to you. And if you don't do the right thing like Tomlin, it's going to get stripped. They're going to give you who they want you to have. They're going to block who you really want. And then they're going to push you out. That's why he don't want to be a head coach. That is also why McDaniel, I think, told people, take me out of the head coaching running. Because he wants to be around the game, but he don't want to be treated that way. That's why Coach Prime don't want to be a head coach. Because it's not fair for black coaches. Like people keep saying, why Byron Leftwich don't get an interview? It's not fair. It's not fair to black quarterbacks, black OCs, black head coaches, and people are finally pointing it out. They talking about 10 open head coaching positions in total or something like that. And y'all can't hire one black head coach? Did they? No. But they threw you a bone. They elevated Eric Bieniemy from a damn running back coach, which he should have never been in the first place, to an OC. So what is that, one black OC now? So they threw you a bone. That's all they're going to do is just throw you a bone. And you should know that because this league is a microcosm of larger society. What did Malcolm X say? We don't want no trinkets. Don't throw us no bone. We want justice. We want fairness. It's not there. It's not there. It's just not there. Bond is from Texas. Yes. Fully aware. Fully aware. It said Andrew didn't say give him that money. Jimmy agreed. It ain't just that Jimmy agreed. Jimmy wanted that transaction to happen because that's what he and the other 32 owners decided to do. When we learned that in the collusion document that they don't compete, it's not competitive. That's how you know, because it states in there that nobody else can have Deshaun's contract. How is it competitive if all 32 decided nobody else can have Deshaun's contract? How is it competitive if when a new owner comes along, like the Walmart family did in Denver, and they like Russ and want to give Russ his extension 2 years early like they did Trevor Lawrence, and they want to pay him handsomely, Russell, like they did Trevor Lawrence? They said, no, you can't do that because then the rest will want it. Who is the rest? Because Trevor got it. Kirk Cousins got it. Josh Allen got it. The rest is the Lamars, the Russell Wilsons, the Kyler Murrays. Because if the white ones got it, why the black ones can't have it? And that's what was important about the collusion document, and they never even got to it. They just pointed out that they are not competing, but they didn't talk about the racism. And that's another reason Lamar ain't gonna never get there. First of all, because they still collude against him. See, a lot of people don't know. 32 teams passed up Lamar like they passed up Shedeur in free agency after he was already an MVP. And then he won his second MVP, and then they snatched his third. Lamar put up 4,100 yards in the air and 900 on the ground, and they, in 23, they actually contribute that to Monken. So why he get fired? Because he intentionally losing games in the playoffs to hold back Lamar, because 32 people decided we don't want him, which is why the media pushed the narrative. He's trash. He should retire. Lamar like, I'm only 28. His offensive coordinator is 29. Lamar Jackson is 29. Round 2, ding, ding. It's not fair and square, guys. Stop thinking that. It's not competitive at all. Yes, there's a script. No, they don't compete. Yes, they collude. And round 2 has already begun. Yeah, people say Byron Leftwich, right? That's like all of these guys out here I'm seeing taking up for Bill Belichick. I'm like, I ain't never heard Bill Belichick step up for none of y'all. And why is it y'all didn't stand up for Terrell Owens like this? Why y'all didn't stand up for Che Ochocinco? I don't understand. What is going on with that? You know how bad that looks? I don't even hear no white guys standing up for Bill Belichick. Not to the tune of I see the black dudes in their cars and in their podcast studios. I'm like, this just looks weird. And I think Terrell Owens said, oh, wait, why y'all not talking for me? I mean, it's a valid point. It's a valid point. Now, I'm going to tell you something. It's round 2, right? Bringing the Sanders into the fold before the draft and the pre-draft. Let's see how they treat the Colorado program this time. Let's see how they treat Shedeur. And for those of you that's saying Monken is being judged, Monken has a history of which to be judged. Monken himself said he could have coached Lamar better. Of course, Monken is going to get the credit for Lamar's numbers. He also gets the criticism for how he failed, not just Lamar, but the Baltimore Ravens, but Lamar in particular, because he didn't protect the quarterback. Sound familiar? It's documented. People want to say, give Monken a chance like it's his first year in the NFL. He already coached a black quarterback that is a 2-time MVP, damn it. And look at what he did. That should tell you it ain't on the up and up. So what are we waiting to see? What you want to see is what the owner's agenda is. It don't matter what the hell Monken think. He has signed up for the job. He know what it entails, and he did it better than Stefanski. That's why he was the first person they hired. That's why Jim Schwartz is pissed off. You played in my face. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. He held Lamar back better than Stefanski did it to Shedeur. So he's going to come over here and do it again, or they going to figure out some other shit, because these people are straight evil, and they have not changed their minds, and they will not be proven guilty. They know they took him off the board and lied, and they running from them lies. And by any goddamn means necessary. And you better look at what happened to Lamar this year. Look at what happened to Pat Mahomes this year. And y'all know that's their golden boy, except for when it comes to 17 to 32. Shedeur is not a pure pocket passer. Shedeur is a mobile quarterback. He's not a dual threat. Nobody is a Lamar Jackson except for Jalen Milroe. And where is Jalen Milroe? Buried on the depth chart for 2 years. They put that in print. Shedeur is not a pure pocket passer. He's not a dual, so to speak, in a traditional sense. In my opinion, he's more of a hybrid. And when you look at his numbers, like I did a comparison with the Titans and the Panthers game, hell, when the O-line fails, his rushing touchdowns and yards go up. He don't just stand there and let the play die That's what they don't like. He makes an off-script play, and they don't like that because they don't want him to win. Manning coming to Cleveland. Yeah, yes, 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 yes. You gonna see. I ain't gonna convince you of what's already happening. Yeah, I support Shedeur Sanders. So people who got a problem with it. Here's the thing: I ain't worried about it. You gonna see it. This ain't my first time having a sports conversation, and part of it is because I'm a woman, and people just don't want to admit it. Now, I don't care. I didn't ask for this, but I enjoy it, right? So I bring receipts in the first place, and a lot of the stuff, and I don't know why people get mad because of Monken. The Ravens fans tried to run him off. The Browns fans don't want him back. So who's the fool? Who's the damn fool if the team he already coached at, where Shedeur is, don't want him back? That fan base that took a while to warm up to Shedeur, when we was like, do y'all not see what's happening? Finally booed the hell out of Dylan and don't want to let go of Shedeur, don't want Monken back, and the Ravens wanted him gone. It was like, Stefanski better not ever think coming this way. So it's because they already have history. They already have history, and owners have the same agenda. Remember, the 32 owners are exceptionally close. It would be interesting to wonder why Seattle is selling. They probably ain't gonna be the last team because it's getting ugly. Yeah, it's getting ugly out here. Now you got this little list out that adds to it, right? And it's gonna be something else. Instead, from what I'm seeing this year in the NFL, there's no reason Shiloh should not have a spot on somebody's team. Facts. That's why I was wondering, Robin, was he going to be in San Francisco, or is he gonna hang back? I want him to go. I want him to go. I want him. Obviously, they have cameramen. I want the cameramen to film experience, but I want him to be around too. And if you now, that's when you're gonna see. Now, what did I say? I want to see how they act after this little whole Super Bowl round two, with Shedeur and Coach Prime. I want to see how they're gonna treat the Colorado program. That's one. I want to see how they're gonna treat Shedeur. That's two. And then I want to see if Shiloh gonna get a real opportunity. Because he should. If you having Bucky filming, if you have Coach Prime being a coach in the NFL game, the celebrity game, if you have Shedeur as the face of it for the most part, and because he everywhere, he all over their page. Why wouldn't you have Shiloh to try out this? You should. Tell me I'm wrong. I actually thought about that. I said, okay, they got the whole damn family involved. And you can't sit up and say, oh, it's because of what he did. I watched somebody in the Philadelphia-Dallas game, somebody spit on somebody else. And they just got fined. They still work there. And then that other guy didn't even get a penalty. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see who else after Mark Davis, after Shedeur got robbed. I don't even know if people realize that's after Shedeur got robbed. Mark Davis got a suite. And I was like, okay, that's the first owner to be nice. And then it was Haslam. And now it's the Super Bowl 2.0, right? The round two. And this time Bucky, because he films for the NFL, right? So that's three. So let's see. Let's see if he gets a real opportunity. Because I knew when they had him to meet with the 49ers, the sentiment towards the way they were acting, I'm like, that's not serious. And Coach Prime used to work there. The fact that the Falcons have never extended anything towards Shedeur or Shiloh, and they ain't even retired Coach Prime jersey number. We'll see. We'll see what happens. They better. It need to be on the up and up with the respect going forward. This better not be a pull them in again and eat because that's just evil, like I said. And I hope it ain't that. I hope this is the beginning of something away from what has transpired previously. Making shit right. That's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully this is the beginning of making shit right. That don't mean the 17-32 situation is no longer the agenda. Them owners got their agenda. You got to understand that. That's why you'll never see them. And that's why you see the people I told you to listen for. Tom Pelissero, Albert Breer, and Adam Schefter. Because they tell them everything. That's how they get their word out. No doubt, Shiloh is material. I totally agree. I said it. I can see Shiloh on special teams. Let's see if his agent can work something out. You think he still got an agent? Probably. You know who we should have hired? Mulligetta. That's who we should have hired. I mean, then again, I don't know, because Jerry Jones didn't want to talk to Mulligetta even when it came to the guy that left there and went to Green Bay, Michael Parsons. Yes, I agree. Shiloh should still be playing. Yep. Instead, I heard some Cleveland media say that Haslam should draft Pavia so both fan base can go at it. Like it's a joke. What? Diego Pavia is smaller than Dylan Gabriel, right? Because they talking about his height. They not getting him. Is his last name Manning? Okay, all right. I told you about the dominoes on the ground. Yes, Isaiah Bond, that can come and go. But Tom Telesco hiring Monken, understand. That's not a coincidence. That was the dominoes. Those are serious dominoes. Those dominoes allow Peyton Manning to stay in the shadows until it's time. And even the Rizzo guy knows it. Even the Rizzo guy said it. That's why they wanted Andrew Berry fired. They ready to make that transition right now. Yep. Did Tebow ever pass for over 500 yards and have a 70% completion rate in college? I don't know anything about his career, but I think you've proven the point. I'll take it. Some don't want to believe the truth, right? And I ain't going to try to convince them because I see that on the internet. I've been looking at people. I just keep scrolling. I just keep strolling. And when I'm live, I just block them out of the chat forever because, hey, I'm like, I have done way too much research on this topic. I'm not just grasping for straws. It said Peyton Manning was handed Super Bowl 50. Is that the one that Cam Newton was in? Because if so, in Denver or something like that, yes, they cheated Cam Newton. Y'all told they go watch Cam Newton highlights. And I watched that Super Bowl. I was like, bro, they cheated the hell out of Cam Newton. And then we talked about the whole cheating thing with Belichick and Tom Brady. They said that Atlanta Super Bowl where I guess it was the Patriots came all the way back. The Falcons thought they had won or something. They talked about that one. It's funny how people just get away with cheating and abusing people. That's just what I'm noticing. And I'm just really shocked at who was just out here stomping for Belichick because don't make no sense to me. It don't make no sense to me. That's just weird. That was just weird. They understand the psychology of Black people too. Okay. All right. I'm gonna let you have that one. And when you say that, they understand how to manipulate. I'll give her that. They understand. It's like they passed down a book from 400 years every year to a new generation, or every 7 years to a new generation. And the book on how to manipulate us, how to keep us docile, how to keep us on their side, it just gets handed down and they never stray from it. And it works. It makes absolutely no sense. None. Just none. If y'all saw on Instagram, all these brothers was just barking like chihuahuas. I'm like, is it no Black people that got snubbed from the Hall of Fame? Like that's what people said. What about T.O.? What about Terrell Owens? Did y'all have all of this juice for what happened to Shedeur? So they understand how to manipulate as a people. They do. That's why when you see them bringing in 50 Cent and he got a gallery and a bar or whatever in the Washington Commander Stadium, understand they got all of these Black limited partners. Look at Charles Woodson right there in Cleveland. And they got him, they already had him in 24, and they waited to use that card in 25 because they knew what they was going to do to Shedeur in the draft. And not one time have you heard anything from Charles Woodson about this ain't right, or like nobody in Cleveland. It's like they were scared to protect Shedeur. And we saw that once people showed compassion and concern, they got kicked out. And I was like, they act like Stefanski's mafia. Now, mind you, I just watched the movie John Gotti last night. And I'm sure I've seen some of it, but when I say all of it, and NFL came to mind. Why? Because it is documented that they have once had associations with the mafia. That's true. But I will say this. The difference between the mafia and the NFL right now. The mafia is secretive. Kevin Stefanski, Haslam, Arthur Blank, they loud, bro. They loud. They don't work like that, right? And that was one of the complaints about John Gotti when he was on the cover of Time, the Coast Nostra. They were upset with him. They said, look, you wearing these fancy suits, you out here on the cover of Time. That's not how we do business. You gonna get us caught. You gonna get caught because you being loud. We secretive, we quiet, and they are. Most time you don't even know they're around, right? And the NFL is loud. They loud with it. They're not even trying to put a lid on it. It's like they following larger society with how loud they're being. And it's like they took full advantage when it came to the New Orleans Super Bowl. You know, they had Kendrick Lamar, right? And I want to see what happens with Jay-Z because they could use that to kick him out because I think they tried before when they had that little case come up. And now it's something else. That's why I told y'all I want to see who gonna be held accountable from that list. Now, when I do my next members live stream, we'll go over the list behind closed doors, right? Because I understand that different platforms were censoring the word Epstein facts from people's DMs, from people's searches. So we'll talk about that behind closed doors because I want to see who's gonna be held accountable. I mean, I think you should already know, right? Considering what? Considering, remember they had that gambling scandal that came and went and we hadn't heard no more after Chauncey Billups left his house with Clutch Sports on at 5 in the morning? Y'all know who they were trying to get, right? You see how that came and went. And when they talked about that, all they talked about was black people. I'm like, so you trying to tell me it's just all black people? It's all black people. And people like, this ain't right. That's what I meant by I want to see who's going to be held accountable from that list. There's a lot of people on it. A lot of people on it. So yeah, Tina, you're right. They don't know us per se, because if they did, they wouldn't have ever thought that we wouldn't care about Shedeur. That's why I said, oh, I'm going to give it to you. Because yeah, when it comes to how to manipulate and divide, absolutely, it's like a playbook. But they don't know us because they keep doing things as if we're not going to show up. But then they realize, wait, they stick together. Let's see if we can piss off one and they all come out in the streets. What are black people doing right now? Instead of looking at whatever the hell has happened. There's a lot happening. I think a lot of people are paying attention to the Liberia Girl challenge. What was it before that? Boots on the ground. So whenever there's something that's intended to draw us outward for the sole purpose of being captured, it's like God put something else. The same thing that got our people through 400 years of slavery. Song and dance. Community. Coming together. Not, I got y'all looking at this, so you don't even look at that. And that's what's happening. And it happens every time. And the next time you see a little trend come along, don't be surprised if something else happens. That's how we keep ourselves safe. Whether we know it or not, it's in us, not on us. That's how they got through 400 years. And remember, they weren't supposed to be gathering, speaking their own language, reading. They were supposed to just be dumb. And they still think we dumb. At least the NFL does. Why they want to sell us products. That's just what it is. So yeah. Instead, yeah, I'm skeptical of Barry too. You should be, because he reeled Shedeur in and said that Shedeur had a retro style of quarterbacking of pocket passer, and Shedeur is not a retro style pocket passer. He's just not. Let's just be honest. That's what they want him to be, so they can exclude him. But it's funny. It's funny. Dillon could be a check down king. Mendoza could be a check down king. Mendoza's gonna be the first check down king to go number 1 overall, and that don't even make no sense. But that's the agenda, so that's what's gonna happen. If it happens, people think it might not happen now. Now that the game is over, ESPN made its $1 billion from the broadcast of the game. They say he might not actually go number 1. It's going to be kind of hard to coax people into watching Dillon play on multiple teams. It's just going to be, it didn't work in Cleveland. Why would you try it again? Because it worked in New Orleans. But what was really happening in New Orleans? Spencer Rattler's black. That's what was happening. Oh, we want the white guy. Okay. I said if Mendoza go to Vegas Ashton Genty gonna be MVP. It said, this is Saturday Night Fly, y'all. Facts. Coach say I'm rooting for Barry. If he hits this draft, his Browns can compete for the playoffs. Let me ask you a question. You're right. But if the owner wants to bring in Manning, don't forget, Barry's not just a GM. He's an executive vice president. Let's just say, and from what I can already see, they already bringing in their people. Monken is their people. Telesco is their people. Telesco was brought in to secure Monken, which is why Schwartz is pissed. Pay attention to who they get for a wide receiver. Pay attention to what they do with the O-line. According to Haslam, it's going to be a lot of people, a lot of change on offense. So I would expect that whole first and second string of the O-line to be gone. Jerry Jeudy going to still be there? I mean, who are you going to offload him to with a $48 million guarantee? And he leads the league in drop passes. So is he still going to be wide receiver one? Isaiah Bond might still be there. I'd be shocked if he gone. They already bringing in their people. That's what when people make comments, they're not considering, and their comments aren't bad. But when I notice when they make comments, they're thinking as if everything is on the up and up, as if there's no agenda, as if Haslam has no agenda, as if Haslam has no history, as if Monken has no history, as if the 32 owners haven't gotten decided what they want the league to look like and how they feel about 17 black quarterbacks and how they'd rather bypass the athleticism and just get the checkdowns. That's the pattern. And that's just what they're doing. And you have to take all that in consideration when you decide who it is that's going to win. Just like the Super Bowl, people actually pick up. They say, I think they want there to be 2 white quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. That was before we even got to the Ravens and the Steelers game. People realized it, and did it not turn out that way? Yes. And guess what? Next year too. In the year after that. Anytime you hear them talking about this pro-style offense, I want you to think about Bish Young and what they did to him. They knew he was a champion, knew what kind of quarterback he was. And they let Jeff Fisher go Stefanski on him. That's what happened to that kid. He just didn't come from a background like Shedeur's with that type of stability. I did a whole video about it. His upbringing was rough. And I don't just mean staying outside till the street lights come on or homeless. Like death. Like seeing a lot of trauma. Right? And they knew that Steve McNair meant the world to him and he called Steve McNair Pops. And when Steve McNair got them this close to Super Bowl, what they do? They split up the team. They blew it all up. Who does that? You this close to the Super Bowl and you take your quarterback and send him what, Baltimore or somewhere? Because you didn't want to get there with him. That's not new. So the Browns blowing it all up, guys, when they was this close to the pen and just blowing it all up. Because they definitely in a rebuild. It's the same thing as Steve McNair getting them closer to the Super Bowl. Did Shedeur get them to the playoff hunt? Nobody talked about it. They just blew it all up. It's the same thing. And they're going to keep blowing it up until they want to get the quarterback they want to win with. And Haslam was at Ohio State versus Texas. Nowhere else. So unless they bring in Julian Sand this year, and I have not heard that kid's name at all. It's like they were trying to do that in your face when he went down there. When he went down there to Ohio State and brought Barry with him. That was no different than what he did. Go get me that guy. And that's the kind of person I notice Haslam is. Like Stefanski, they be trying to tell you. Like, that was hella disrespectful. You got Shedeur on the ground. He's like, I don't give a damn. You think he changed his mind? No. You can never ignore that. And people keep saying that kid's family won't let him go there. I'm like, y'all missing it. They in his inner circle. He gonna do whatever they want to do. And Monken is a part of that. If Sarkisian was over here, it would be him. But he in college. There was conversation about Sarkisian going to Tennessee, meaning Nashville, the Titans. Now, how you think he gonna get there? The same way Jackson Dart and Tyler Shaw got to where they are, the Mannings. It's definitely true. It said Andrew got fired because Andrew gonna get fired because Shedeur is gonna outperform his draft stock. So where they can't draft Arch. Nah, that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. You saw what happened this year. You know how you know? Remember I told y'all the Browns are an experimental franchise. I've said that before. You probably heard me say it. What do I mean by that? They had Stefanski doing something that everybody else with a black quarterback is getting ready to do. Hold back they black quarterback. So that next year, the people that they want to win, Tyler Shaw, could be Jackson Dart, so they can be playing. Understand that's what's happening here. You already know it's scripted, you know it's rigged, but what you don't know is why. Because of what they want it to look like for the foreseeable future until something come along and they're like, nah, you can't do that. They have no fear of consequences. They seemingly don't move as if they think the pendulum gonna swing back the other way. And maybe because there are people working to make sure the pendulum doesn't swing back the other way, and they likely support those people. This is so not about football. It said if Shedeur outperforms his draft stock, that's a good thing. It is if he can be traded, but from what I can see, he still can't be traded. It said that means he got a franchise QB for a 5th round pick. But did they acknowledge that? Did they acknowledge that last season? They knew that. They were going to get him at number 2. I could see if Shedeur went to another team and they made him a 5th round pick because they didn't know him. The Browns evaluated Shedeur at number 2 overall, which meant they played in his face. That's why when Barry used his connections to try to get Shedeur to Baltimore and Philly, Shedeur said, hell no, I'm going to Cleveland. And that's why they tried to kick him so bad. That's why the abuse was so bad, because he had the audacity to come over here and try to us for what we did to him. It's probably why he got robbed. And then he going to be over there again, and they haven't committed to him. But now it seems like, it's time for the Super Bowl. Let's bring the standards out. Let's see. Now, that part right there is either going to be exactly what it was, eek, or it's going to be different because something has changed. And we just going to have to wait and see that part. But everything else is already happening elsewhere because Stefanski succeeded in Cleveland. And I said it. I said all of the people that they want to do what Stefanski did, Monken included, are going to know, 1, we're protected because they protected Stefanski. 2, we're going to get rewarded if we do it. If we don't, we're going to get fired. That's all that was. Remember, every time they would lose, Stefanski would look relieved. I was like, is somebody going to come over his house and all black and be like, hey, we told you to lose that game? See, he wasn't doing that for himself. That's why Haslam was so happy he was going to get another job, because that's their plan. And only Stefanski was the only fool willing to tear down his own reputation. But then where did they send him? They sent him to Atlanta. Let's see how that work out. Because there is a petition. I saw it. I should have snagged a screenshot of it. Yep. Yeah, Shedeur's already QB1. AB on a short leash, though. AB's replacement is on the ground. Time to let's go. And if he left, I'm telling you, it was to get Monken in there. And that means that Barry has a purpose. And when that purpose is done, to take the blame for what they get ready to do, understand all of the niceness last year around the Super Bowl. What happened after that? It was like, we don't know y'all, and just push them off the cliff. The same thing could happen. But we got to wait and see, right? And all you got to do is listen to the narrative. Listen to the narrative that they're echoing in Cleveland and nationally. When it's all lines up and it's the same, then that's what it is. Think about the way that they defamed Shedeur and blamed Coach Prime. And now they, going to be a part of the festivities again. My money says they probably gonna do the same thing. Because the goal was to humiliate them. But then again, maybe, just maybe something has happened back there. Because they're not afraid of no lawsuits. Because where's Brian Flores? They're not afraid of no lawsuits. We're gonna have to wait and see. We're gonna have to wait and see. 12 have options better than John Stockton. That's facts. That's just facts. That's just what it is. It said, yes, the Cleveland media's beat reporters on to toxic. That's what people are saying. They saying they toxic. That's it. That's it. They saying they toxic. How does the head coach know what to draft if they don't know what type of QB or O-line they have or their playbook? Oh, how does the head coach know? The head coach ain't drafted. Okay, let me say this. Barry's job is to get the people that they want him to get. Understand it. Okay, he ain't picking nobody. They might let him get Cornelius Lucas, but you see Stefanski refused to let Cornelius Lucas play because he can play on both sides. And notice on the O-line, Andrew Barry kept bringing in people on both sides, right? That can play on both sides, like Cornelius Lucas. And Stefanski didn't play him, and Haslam did not hold Stefanski accountable. All he said when he fired him is, well, we could have won more than 5 games. And I'm really optimistic Stefanski going to get another job as a head coach. And he got paid, instead of $3.5 million, he's making $15 million. I have seen nothing that warrants that. That's a reward for pulling off some kind of heist and getting something from it. And we're going to have to wait and see what it is, because this is round 2. Ding, ding. After the Super Bowl, we're going to have to see how they get treated. We just, because it's the same thing. And I don't know whose idea it was to ask them, but Mark Davis invited Coach Prime to a suite after Shedeur got robbed. Now, if anybody is being protected in that situation, it's Haslam. And any of the owners that possibly maybe have known about it. Because Stefanski got rewarded for something. Because technically he failed at destroying Shedeur. I mean, you think about it. Shedeur's still standing. He ain't crying. He ain't quit. What did he get rewarded for? He did something. What is it? We're going to find out, though. We're going to find out. But think about it. He didn't succeed at breaking Shedeur. He made his life hell, but anybody could do that. And that ain't warrant $15 million. That's not warrant all that power and influence. You want him to do something again. What is it? To me, is to move Michael Penix Jr. out the way. Let's see what it is. Let's just see what it is. I said, yes, everyone competes to make the team every season. Yeah, the players the players don't compete. Pat Mahomes ain't competing for nothing. That's not even, don't do that, coach. Pat Mahomes is not competing for nothing. Josh Allen is not competing. So no, that's not the case. That's maybe what it's supposed to be, but no, that's not happening. Shedeur might have to compete. Cam might have to compete. Hell, Lamar might have to compete. But you know Josh Allen don't have to compete. You know Pat Mahomes don't have to compete. You think Jackson Dart got to compete? You think Tyler Shaw got to compete? Like, really? Come on now. Let's not be naive. Let's just not be naive. It said there is true meaning to take the top off the defense. Yeah. And I think people forget about all of the scandals that are out there. Like I said, there's a whole hashtag that's NFL scandal hashtag. There's channels dedicated to talk to showing you about Bountygate and the whole Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin thing, which is what Stefanski did to Shedeur. And that came from higher up. It's documented. Nothing is new. It's just all been done before. And they're like, hey, remember when we did that in the 90s? Let's do that now. Because we want to be like it was in the 90s. That's just what it is, guys. So I hope y'all enjoyed the part about the off-script plays and, just understanding that one, there is a script. 2, how do you contain a Lamar Jackson? How do you contain Shedeur Sanders. The Browns are experimental franchise, and what Stefanski did there is being rolled out, scaled out across to where all these other black quarterbacks are, where the coaches were fired. And that certain coaches, Harbaugh, Monken, Stefanski, failed up. Who are their quarterbacks? Shedeur and Lamar. And then that ball gets sent over there with who? Cam. So the Stefanski program is being rolled out this year. And we had 16 quarterbacks. I need to update my chart to see if we finish with about 13 maybe. And then wherever we finish, once free agency happens, we'll update it. Once the draft happens, we'll update it. And once camp starts, we'll update it to see what they start with. And then, of course, when week 1 comes, we'll see if we even have 16 or if they manage to keep it at 13. And then they're going to roll back this again next year, and it's going to be 10. And then again, it is going to be 8. Just like they whittled away black head coaches, got to 0 coordinators. Only black GMs have been fired this year. Only. And Andrew Berry's replacement is on the ground. All right, so I'm going to see y'all later. This was excellent. I enjoyed it. I think that as we learn more together about the way these people conduct business, we'll just be better able to understand how these quarterbacks, these black quarterbacks, can protect themselves. And our hope is that they communicate more. I want them to have a group chat that says 17 to 32, right? We want to see if, we see if Shedeur played Lamar this year, if after the game we see those two talking. That don't mean they not talking, but I don't think I saw that. And I think it was because Shedeur went to sit on the bench and LeJontay came over. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We hope the Sanders have fun with the opportunities they have, and maybe Shiloh get one too. And we hope and pray that this is the beginning of making amends, making things right from the draft last year, and they'll be respected going forward. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. I appreciate it. We made it to like 253 people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, I appreciate each and every last one of you and the engagement. Have a good night. I'll see you later. This was beneficial. It was really good too.